On one side, the Big Mom pirates acted like a general mobilization of the entire army. On the other side, after Sha Luo returned to the marine base, the next day, a notice came from the headquarters. Although Sha Luo defeated the captain of the 9 snake pirates, Aurora Baina, which made Marine a big boost, but failed to capture Orobaba Baina, and the rescue mission also ended in failure. Therefore, the merits and demerits were outweighed, and he remained in the same position as Major Marine. Winning one of the most famous pirates in this era didn't even have a reward. It seems that the Tianlong people on Marine are not fools. Knowing that this incident is tricky, he deliberately suppressed his reward. But that kind of thing doesn't matter. Anyway, brother, I don't care about your half-official job, or your salary. Sha Luo calmly continued to live, practice, accompany his wife and daughter. In the outside world, his incident against Blue Enchantress Orobabena continued to cause a heated discussion. Then, on this day, a new Easter egg prompt suddenly popped up. Easter egg 10. Dominator's domain, in public, openly and seriously injuring or killing a Tianlong person who represents supreme authority can awaken the tyrant temperament that ignores authority and open up a unique, dominance domain. Valid for host, host's spouse, or host's own children. No matter who completes the Easter egg, it can be regarded as host's instruction. Host is responsible, and host and corresponding characters will acquire corresponding abilities at the same time. F*K. Seeing the system prompt, Sha Luo was speechless. Killing Tianlongren and opening Conqueror's Hockey, although it is a bit old-fashioned, it is not too surprising. After all, who dares to kill Tianlongren without a bit of hockey? But, is this the temptation to immediately raise the butcher's knife to the Tianlong people? Although this day will come sooner or later. However, ITM didn't even think about doing it now. This era is indeed a bit early. After all, Sha Luo himself is only at the Admiral level, just like the so-called Cage level in Hokage. It is only a normal Cage level, like the so-called Cage level in some YY novels I have read. Super Shadow, 6 Paths, and other levels, he doesn't have it yet, and he can't form an absolute crushing trend against other Cage levels. If he encounters a siege, the situation will not be very good. What's more, this doesn't take into account the national treasure in the hands of the Tianlong people. Although I didn't know whether it was the ancient weapon, Uranus, or not, and what it was, even the powerful Roger pirates in the original work. They did not choose to go all out to do it directly, but said, we are still too impatient, which shows that the whole cards in the hands of Tianlongren are not so easy to deal with. At least, you have to find Pluton first, and wait until Poseidon is born, get Poseidon, or get special combat power comparable to ancient weapon through the Easter egg system. Is there a better chance of winning? Before that, rushing to do something was really asking for trouble. However, if you wait for more than 10 or 20 years to open this Easter egg, Dominator's territory. Although the Easter eggs will not run away, after all, it is impossible for the Tianlong people to die suddenly, but who wants to wait for decades to get good things? Sha Luo was confused. At this time, the voice of the phone bug rang. Sha Luo answered the phone. On the opposite side, a familiar voice came over. Hello. Is that Marine G7 branch, Marine Major Sha Luo? Exactly. Sha Luo said, are you, Zephyr? That's right. Zephyr said, Sha Luo, let me ask you, what is your relationship with that woman, Charlotte Linlin? Ah? Sha Luo was taken aback, what do you mean? Haven't you seen today's news? Zephyr said, that woman, through some newspapers in the New World, announced to the world that you, the Mine-Eater, Sha Luo, are her husband. Next, she ready to welcome my husband back. Puff. Hearing Zephyr's words, Sha Luo almost spit out a mouthful of old blood. Shit. Charlotte Linlin, what are you doing? Hello. What's wrong? Seeing that he didn't answer, Zephyr asked again. No. Nothing. Sha Luo was speechless, remembering the complaints of some viewers when she saw some unscrupulous media always fabricating news in the three-dimensional world. It wasn't for you to tell me. I didn't even know that I married someone other than Lisa and Tia. So, you have nothing to do with that woman? Zephyr said. No. Sha Luo looked innocent. If I had to say yes, it would mean that she met me many years ago, and then she kept thinking. Cough. He wanted to chase me? What? Hearing Sha Luo's words, on the opposite side, Zephyr also had a black line. When Sha Luo and Linlin went to find Whitebeards, Zephyr and Sengoku also rushed to the scene, but at the beginning, they didn't quite understand the cause of the matter. Later, although they wanted to inquire, it was not easy to get information from Whitebeard and Charlotte Linlin, so they didn't know about Sha Luo. Who Linlin wanted from Whitebeard. To be honest, They once thought that Charlotte Linlin wanted something similar to Whitebeard, Whitebeard's brother or something. Now, I didn't expect that there would be such a thing. The beautiful pirate of New World Charlotte Linlin is actually chasing someone who is several times smaller than her, Sha Luo. If Sha Luo really took the initiative to get the female pirate, it would be easier to understand. After all, one thing I have to admit is that Charlotte Linlin, except that his body is many times larger than the average person, looks really quite good. But now, this well-known female pirate is actually chasing it back? When did it become so popular for women to chase men? Zephyr took a deep breath. All in all, the headquarters needs you to come back first. Zephyr said, I don't speak secretly to you. The surveillance ship sent to New World has sent back news that the ship of the Big Mom pirates has begun. Heading to the Red Line, the headquarters is indeed worried that you will join Charlotte Linlin, so I hope you will come back to clarify and keep a certain amount of monitoring on you. Is that so? Hearing this, Sha Luo was helpless. My sister, I already have enough headaches here, and I'm still thinking about whether or not to kill the Tianlong people right away. Big Mom, you are at this juncture, causing trouble for me, and making Marine keep an eye on me. Lousy wants to beat you up, believe it or not. You kid, you wouldn't go straight to the Big Mom pirates, would you? On the opposite side, Zephyr said. I want to beat her. Sha Luo said directly. Zephyr was speechless. All in all, come back first. Zephyr said after a long while, you don't have to participate in the fight against the Big Mom pirates. Before the Big Mom pirates are repelled, the headquarters hopes that you will take care of yourself. Stay in Marineford, other things, wait until the event is over. Is that so? Hearing this, Sha Luo sighed slightly. That's all right. Anyway, Marine is already paying attention to himself now. Even if he wants to beat the Tianlong people and then dodge them, it won't be so easy for a while. In this case, let's wait and see how things change before making plans. Immediately, Sha Luo replied. Okay. Sha Luo then set off for Marineford. At this time, Grand Line, Red Line, and New World, about the great pirate Charlotte Linlin openly declared that Marine Major Sha Luo was her long-lost husband. There are three mainstream views on this matter. The first one, that guy Sha Luo, since he once teamed up with Whitebeard, it is also possible that he had a going-one affair with Sha Luo and Linlin. The circle of the big pirates of the New World is really messed up. People who hold this kind of thinking have basically never seen Charlotte Linlin with their own eyes, and do not know how many times the size of the other party is their own. The second one, Mine-Eater Sha Luo, is really shrewd. It is estimated that he used his flowery words and clever words to deceive Charlotte Hart. This man is simply a beast. After all, Charlotte Linlin is quite beautiful. Of course, if possible, please change it to me. Those who hold this kind of thinking, not only have not seen Charlotte Linlin with their own eyes, but also may have drooled over the arrest warrant. After all, in this era, since the Big Mom pirates and the Whitebeard pirates are still developing, people still don't know how terrifying Charlotte Linlin is when he goes berserk. And the third type, Charlotte Linlin didn't move early or late, but after the Thunder Eater Sha Luo fought Blue Enchantress, Aurora Babena, and won and became the leader in the new generation of Marine, she jumped. She came out and declared that Sha Luo was her husband, which obviously made Marine doubt the future main force of her new generation, and played a beautiful alienation plan at the expense of her own reputation. This is also the view that some people in Marine, Zephyr and others insist on. Although Zephyr also confirmed from Sha Luo's mouth, the first two views are also reasonable. On the warship. One officer's room. Mom, aren't these words my father's name? A cute little girl with beautiful pink hair, with round arms, pointed to the words on the newspaper in her mother's hand, said excitedly. Abaj. Dad is in the newspaper, it's amazing. The girl clapped her hands happily. Ahe. Near her, Sha Luo, sitting with her legs crossed, reading another newspaper, couldn't help but be speechless. The warship moved forward all the way, and after more than 10 days, successfully arrived at Marineford. Then, Sha Luo returned to the officer's room where she, Lisa and Tia lived. Outside the residential area, the headquarters has deployed additional guards. Not to prevent Sha Luo from escaping. To be honest, even in naval headquarters, no guard has the strength to stop Sha Luo from hanging out on the island, or just leave. All that needs to be guarded is that Sha Luo suddenly slipped away with his wife and daughter. Sha Luo was indifferent to this. Anyway, he is not ready to leave now, what to do, and sometimes even find a place to fish directly. A few days passed quickly. On this day, from the other side of the Red Line, near the island of Balone, came the exact news. The Big Mom pirates have officially arrived. Marine's siren blared long. Balone Island is the nearest island on the east side of the Red Line and facing the New World. Similar to Sabodi Archipelago, it is also composed of huge alchemy mangroves, except that the number of alchemine mangroves that make up the island it is much smaller than Sabodi Archipelago, so the area of the island and the population of the island are smaller than that of Sabodi Archipelago. But even so, it's on the east side of the Red Line, an important island. Naval headquarters has already made a move, and the veteran Marine Admiral Alves, who is about to retire, is stationed here with 7 Marine Vice Admirals. On the opposite side, 1 kilometer away, the red-pink pirate ship of the Big Mom pirates was parked at sea and looked at each other from a distance. They stopped there. Using a telescope to look at the pirate ship parked on the sea from a distance, a Vice Admiral said with a puzzled expression. "Looks like they don't dare to act rashly either," said another Vice Admiral. "So, do we need to take the initiative?" Another Vice Admiral was eager to try, looking at Alves, who was already 70 years old and his hair was beginning to turn white, and asked. "No, let's wait and see." Alves said, "I heard from Sengoku and Zephyr that Sha Luo and Linlin have the ability to move at sea. If they are on land, it is not difficult to defeat her, but if they are prepared to deliberately lead us into a trap at sea, then they will be deeply disadvantaged." "It is good." Hearing his words, the previous Vice Admiral nodded. "The battle-hardened Admiral is steady. But then, if they detect that we're ready to fight, and have an Admiral, and 7 Vice Admirals stationed here, won't they just turn around and leave?" Another 40 the old Vice Admiral, at this time, looked at the sea again and said. His 7 word is particularly heavy, and even a little proud. After all, 1 Admiral, 7 Vice Admiral, this lineup is quite luxurious, and quite large. You know, in this era, there are only 3 Admiral and 16 Vice Admiral in Marine. With such a lineup, winning a woman and a woman looking for a man is definitely not a problem. "That's right," agreed another Vice Admiral. "This is a good opportunity to eliminate them on the spot. If they see us waiting for us and then flee back to the deep Chu of the New World, they want to eliminate them again, but it's not that easy." Hearing everyone's words, Alves was slightly silent. "Look at their movements first." Then, he said calmly. Hearing this, everyone's faces froze. "Yes." Then, he responded obediently, the same moment. "On the sea, the Big Mom pirates." Then, "Wait here, Sha Luo, he will escape from Marine and go back with me?" Looking at the 1-kilometer sea, which is far from far, near or near, but it is quite easy for that man to run over, Charlotte Linlin sat on the boat and said with a look of anticipation. 16 years ago, when I first saw that handsome man, he escaped from Aparna Island directly from the air because he felt that he was too young to get married. 16 years have passed, and the strength of that man will only increase unabated. After all, he had once crusted west with the Whitebeard man. Then, not long ago, he defeated the female emperor known as the Enchantress. With his current strength, it should be a piece of cake to cross this kilometer of sea and run from the air quickly. At that time, you can take him back. Looking at the sea ahead, Sha Luo and Linlin sat on the boat with a look of anticipation. In the surrounding area, apart from the eldest son Perispero, the 5th son Opera, and the eldest daughter Compert who stayed on Cake Island to guard the island, there are several children I am proud of. The 2nd son Charlotte Katakori, the 3rd son. The son Dafu, the 4th son Owen, the 10th son Cracker, the 3rd daughter Amando, the 8th daughter Bray, etc., stood by the side. In addition, it is the man who has given himself a lot of help since he was a child and is very reliable for himself, Powdered Sugar Cream. That's right. Hearing Charlotte Linlin's expectation, the confectioner's icing sugar whipped Tien's long sheen head and smiled evilly. "If he understands your intention, he will come back here soon. Come on." "Really? That's great." Charlotte Linlin laughed. "Well, I'll just wait for him patiently." After speaking, he continued to sit there expectantly. On the opposite side, Marine has also been on guard, neither withdrawing nor attacking. The two sides confronted each other. Half a day passed quickly. This kind of confrontation is not what I want, and things haven't completely escalated, the powdered sugar creamer thought to himself. While thinking, he looked at his watch. A certain time has passed. Then next, "It's me who finds a chance to leave temporarily," said Icing Sugar and Cream to herself. Immediately, he looked at Charlotte Linlin in front of him. "Speaking of which, Linlin, there's one thing I've been forgetting to ask." "What's the matter?" "Linlin, your husband, does he like sweets?" said Powdered Sugar and Butter. I heard that there are many men who do not necessarily like sweets, but prefer other flavors. Really? Hearing this, Sha Luo and Linlin looked concerned. This is really unexpected. If he comes back in a while and wants to eat something, but it doesn't taste good, he might be very upset. Powdered sugar cream finish. That's terrible. Charlotte Linlin said. But it doesn't matter, there is still time now, said the powdered sugar cream. Next, give me a boat. I will go back to the nearby Punk Hazard Island to get some ingredients, and then I can use it. Is that so? Hearing this, Charlotte Linlin was overjoyed. Okay. The powdered sugar cream is really reliable. I'll leave this matter to you. It is good. The confectioner's icing sugar lifted Tien's long head again and smiled. Now, no one has reacted immediately. What does this pirate group, especially Charlotte Linlin, mean without him? Because, it has been a long time since no one saw Charlotte Linlin was sick at every turn. Therefore, some laws, only oneself know. Not even Sha Luo and Linlin himself. Cream of icing sugar quickly got a few troopers to help him drop a boat. Then, with 2 small soldiers, they left the ship of the Big Mom pirates and headed for the nearby island of Punk Hazard. A few minutes later, the site of the Big Mom pirates has gradually moved away. Then, according to the previous rules, the time seems to be about the same. The powdered sugar creamer thought to himself, let's start, Charlotte Linlin. It wasn't long before he finished speaking in his heart. On the ship of the Big Mom pirates, Sha Luo's expression suddenly changed and Linlin stood up. Charlotte Linlin made a dull voice in his throat. Mom. What's wrong? Beside him, Amando asked suspiciously. However, Sha Luo and Linlin seemed to ignore her question at this time, and her eyes began to become frenzied. Sha Luo, Sha Luo, Sha Luo, Charlotte Linlin's mouth was muttering, and his voice became heavier. Seeing this, Amando couldn't help but look surprised. Then look at the nearby Katakuri. Brother, this is. Mom's sympathy is about to attack. Katakuri's face was equally startled, and then, with a frown, Chef. Oops, he just went out. Hearing this, everyone's faces moved at the same time. Mom's sympathy, they have seen several times. Once the symptoms occur, there is almost no way to stop them except that the chef can use the ability of eat fruit to make Mom's most similar sculpture to her husband Sha Luo immediately. But now, the icing sugar cream is very, unfortunately, and just isn't there. Sha Luo, Sha Luo, Sha Luo. Before Katakuri spoke, Charlotte Linlin had become more manic, and the look in his eyes began to become fiery, even crazy. Then, what's next? Seeing the condition of Sha Luo and Linlin, Bray exclaimed eagerly. Hearing her words, Katakuri frowned, but he didn't think of a way for a while. And Sha Luo and Linlin noticed her at once. Then, with a stretch of his hand, he squeezed Bray's 10-year-old, small body hand and grabbed it. Hey, where's my husband? Charlotte Linlin exclaimed. Tell me, where is my husband? Hand over my husband right away. Mom, wait. I'm your daughter, it's your daughter Bree. Bree yelled in panic. But at this time, Charlotte Linlin can still hear the words that have nothing to do with her husband. Seeing it, he would crush Bree to death. Father, he's on the island over there. Bray suddenly pointed to the island of Balone, a kilometer away, and said loudly. Bray. Hearing her apparently random remarks, the third son Dafu exclaimed. Ooh. I don't want to die here. Bray almost burst into tears. Mom. Don't hurt Bree. Katakuri exclaimed. He is the daughter of the father, Sha Luo. Hearing the words behind him and the name mentioned in his words, Charlotte Linlin's frantic pupils moved slightly. Then, he held Bray up in front of him and looked at it again. Mom. It's me. It's me. Bray shouted. Father, he's on the island over there. As he said that, he pointed to the opposite Balone Island again. Seeing this, Sha Luo and Linlin also looked towards the island. Then, plop, he threw Bree on the deck. My husband is really on the island over there? Charlotte Linlin asked. Yes. Yes. Bray said tremblingly. If you dare to lie to me, take your life to pay for it, Bree, Charlotte Linlin said loudly. Eh? Hearing her words, Bray's heart collapsed in an instant. It's over, I really just made it up in a hurry just now. Charlotte Linlin shouted angrily, Zeus, Mom. Thundercloud Zeus soon flew to Charlotte in front of Linlin. Sha Luo and Linlin jumped on the thundercloud. Then, the thundercloud carried her towards the opposite island of Balone, rushing straight away. Sha Luo, Sha Luo, Sha. On the deck, watching all this, Bray was speechless. Then, he suddenly rushed in front of Katakuri, almost hugging Katakuri's thigh. Brother, shit. Save me. I'm going to be taken away by mom and die. There is no father at all on that island. Wait. Don't panic, Bree. Hearing Bree's cry, Katakuri quickly calmed down and said, now at least buy time. There is a large number of Marines troops on the opposite island. Even if mom runs rampant, he will attack frantically. At least he can hold mom for a while, and during this time, just get the father back. Is that so? Bray was overjoyed when she heard the words. Then, what should I do next? Brother, hurry up. Katakuri thought for a moment. Although mom has been thinking about his father, but my father doesn't seem to understand mom's intentions, so he never showed up, Katakuri said. Now, we need to cooperate with mom and fight Marine at the front. In addition, it also needs someone to sneak into the Marine, find the father, and convey the meaning of mom to him. Exactly. Bray, your ability, very convenient to sneak in. Then, Bree asked. Next, Daifuku, Owen, Cracker, and I will meet mom in front, Katakuri said quickly to everyone. Bray, you and Amando, from the mirror to Balone Island, and then to red opposite line, while Marine is attracted by mom's attack. See if you can find the whereabouts of father at naval headquarters. The rest, you can figure it out in time. Be careful. It is good. Hearing his words, everyone responded. Let's go now. Bree looked at Amando and said. If she can't find her father, her life will be over, and she can't wait at this moment. Oh. Amando responded simply. To be honest, although brother Katakuri's strategy is quite perfect, there is still one most crucial thing that no one can be sure of. That is, even if he finds his father, will he be willing to come back with just a few words from them? You must know that although you and Bray call him father, they actually have no blood or soul relationship with him. But all of this, now there is no time to think slowly. All in all, just listen to the arrangement of Katakuri brother, look for it first. Amando quickly got into the mirror with Bree, and went to the opposite island of Balone. On the other side, Sha Luo and Linlin, stepping on the thundercloud, had already rushed to the Balone island. Alves Admiral, someone suddenly rushed over from the opposite side. Yes, that woman. Charlotte Linlin. While Sha Luo. Linlin stepped on the thundercloud and rushed towards the island of Balone frantically. On the island of Balone, Marine soon noticed the movements of the Big Mom pirates. In an instant, on the island of Balone, sirens blared. At the temporary command post near the coast, the battle-hardened Alves also raised his eyebrows and stood up. Well, I sensed it a long time ago. It is indeed a powerful breath. Alves clenched the sword hanging around his waist, however, he even rushed up by himself. Did he want to make a surprise attack, or do you really think we have no one in Marine? No matter what kind, since you dare to come ashore, then, this is your doomsday. Alves said solemnly, is ready to fight. Yes. Nearby, the Marine Vice Admirals responded in unison. Then, quickly ran towards the shore where Charlotte Linlin rushed over. And on the sea, Charlotte Linlin was riding on the thundercloud Zeus, and quickly rushed to the shore. Sha Luo. Charlotte Linlin exclaimed like a madman. Upon seeing this, a 50-year-old vice admiral took the lead and stepped out. Charlotte Linlin, I'll meet you for a while. After saying that, he dodged and rushed in front of Sha Luo and Linlin. Then, he jumped into the air, wrapped his armed-colored right fist, and punched Charlotte Linlin's head, hitting him. Huh? Seeing this, Charlotte Linlin's pupils moved. The next moment, without dodging or dodging, the left arm suddenly lifted. Call. Charlotte Linlin's raised arm immediately collided with the right arm that Vice Admiral stretched out to attack. Crack. The next moment, Vice Admiral felt that a cracking sound had come from his arm. At the same time, a severe pain also came. Vice Admiral's pupils shrank. Own arm. It was broken directly in the first collision? I have added the very proud armament hockey. And on the other side, that Charlotte Linlin doesn't even seem to have an armed color on purpose? Impossible. Vice Admiral looked in disbelief, and for a moment, even temporarily froze, wondering if he had an illusion. But this time, I saw the side, Charlotte Linlin's huge right palm, quickly stretched out. The next moment, he grabbed Vice Admiral in his hand. Ah! Vice Admiral struggled instinctively. Farachi Vice Admiral. Nearby, there were several other people's shocked and eager voices. And Charlotte Linlin, at this time, grabbed Fei Lackey and glanced at it. What are you? Not the person I'm looking for, Charlotte Linlin exclaimed impatiently, hand over my husband. Saying that, He raised his right arm, like throwing something unwanted, and threw the forage in his hand towards the ground in front of him. Boom. Fei Lackey suddenly shot out like a cannonball, and then slammed into a mangrove tree dozens of meters away. Crack. That giant tree, the trunk split instantly, almost directly broke into 2 pieces. Seeing this scene, everyone's pupils shrank at the same time. Terrible power. Farachi Vice Admiral. Then, many people shouted out eagerly. Damn it. Don't be careless. Alves exclaimed. Primo, you go take care of Falak. Yes. Vice Admiral, named Primo, responded and quickly walked over to check on Faragi's injury. At the same time, Alves drew the long sword around his waist. On the sword, a powerful armed color has long been entangled. At the same time, he also added full body armor protection. The woman on the opposite side clearly looks like a woman who is no different from ordinary people except for her huge size and attractive appearance, but her power is truly amazing, completely unexpected, and even unbelievable. It came from the arm of such a woman. However, no matter how great the power, if it can't hit the target, it's useless. While Alves was secretly surprised and turned on his full-scale armament, he threw Fei Lackey out like garbage. Charlotte Linlin shouted frantically again. Seeing this, Alves' figure flashed several times in rapid succession. Shoo, shoo, shoo. At the next moment, he was already behind Sha Luo and Linlin at an extremely fast speed. Charlotte Linlin, die! Alves roared angrily. Then, towards Sha Luo. Linlin's huge back, a sword slashed down with incomparable force. Seeing this, Sha Luo and Linlin reacted instinctively even though he was mad. Then, while turning around, the defense of the body is directly raised in an all-round way. Clang. The next moment, Alves' sharp sword slashed heavily on Sha Luo T. Linlin's right shoulder after half-turning. The two frowned at the same time. Then, Sha Luo and Linlin's huge right arm slammed back. Call. The next moment, Alveston flew directly towards the sea from midair. Then, with a thump, it smashed into the sea. Ah! Seeing this, everyone on the shore was startled again. Alves' Admiral's sword didn't even cut her. What kind of body is this guy? Damn it. And Sha Luo and Linlin also made an annoyed voice at this time. It hurts a little. But, no one wants to hide my husband. Hearing her shout, everyone was stunned for a while. Is this woman really looking for her husband? But looking for a husband, how can you find it like this? Moreover, Alves' Admiral's sword was only enough to slash her? This woman looks beautiful, but she has a monster-like body. Wow. While everyone was stunned, on the sea, Alves quickly rushed out of the water and flashed back into the air. Charlotte Linlin is not only terrifying in strength, but also in physical defense, which is simply amazing. But even so, as an admiral, Alves' physical defense and beating resistance are not comparable to ordinary people. Mom. The guy in the back, he's also very strong. Charlotte Linlin's feet, Thundercloud Zeus said. Hearing this, Sha Luo and Linlin frowned. That guy is really fast, and the blow just now slashed himself, who was on the defensive. This is not something ordinary people can do. You must know that even if you don't use armament hockey, the ordinary blade will only be broken by the shock, and even if you are shot, it will not add a trace of scars to yourself. If you defend yourself seriously, then the defense will be stronger, and ordinary people will definitely not be able to hurt themselves. But just now, the guy behind gave him a feeling of being hacked. Don't stop me from welcoming my husband back, damn it, Charlotte Linlin said angrily. Mom. I have an idea. Beside, the flame that was given life, Prometheus suddenly said. What idea? Charlotte Linlin said. Mom, your husband, it is said that he is not afraid of lightning. Prometheus said, maybe you can find him in this way. Hearing Prometheus' words, Charlotte Linlin frowned. Makes sense. His own husband has the title of Thunder Eater, and this title was obtained when he fought west with the Whitebeard guy, so there must be no falsehood. For him, who was devoured by lightning, no matter how he bombarded with lightning, it would not hurt him. In this way, knock down all other irrelevant people, and you can find him. That's it. Sha Luo. Linlin exclaimed with joy, Zeus, Prometheus. Understood, Mom. Hearing her cry, she didn't need to say more. Thundercloud Zeus and, son, Prometheus, who had been with her, had already answered in unison. Then, Prometheus quickly flew to the foot of Sha Luo. Linlin. Charlotte Linlin jumped, from the Thundercloud Zeus to the son Prometheus. And Thundercloud Zeus, at this time, flew towards the midair. Oops. Seeing this, Alves secretly cried out. Then, with a dodge, he attacked Sha Luo and Linlin again. Is it you again? Charlotte Linlin angrily said. No one can stop me from finding my husband. Shouted Napoleon. In an instant, the hat turned into a giant sword and was pinched by Sha Luo and Linlin. Then, taking advantage of his height, he moved towards Alves in front of him, condescendingly, and slashed down with all his might. Emperor Sword. Broken Blade. On the opposite side, Alves also raised Hockey to the highest level, turning it into a black long sword. Then, greeted him. Call. The giant sword and the long sword collided violently in midair. In the air, there was a dull sound in an instant. Call. The powerful airflow swept toward the surroundings in an instant, like rolling sand and fey rocks walking near the coast made people unable to open their eyes for a while. Shoo. The two swords collided briefly in midair, and the next moment, Alves involuntarily slipped backwards. Then, a moonwalk in midair rushed forward again. Annoying guy, Charlotte Linlin said angrily. Then, he raised his giant sword and attacked again. Hoo. In midair, there was a loud crash of collision. The sword flies wildly. In the surroundings, in addition to the 2 vice admiral who were injured and went to check their injuries, the other 5 vice admiral and several rear admiral wanted to intervene, but it was even difficult to break through the constant slashing out of the battle circle. Strong sword spirit. Clang. After more than 10 rounds, there was only a loud noise, a broken blade, and flew into the sky. At the same time, Alves quickly stepped back. Shish. The great sword in Sha Luo's hand. Linlin slashed sharply from the midair where he was just now. Boom. On the ground ahead, a huge rift was split into the sky. Then, only 2 sounds of Quang Dang were heard, and the broken blade that flew up just now fell to the ground weakly. Alves looked at the sword that was only half left in his hand, then took a deep breath and looked at Charlotte Linlin on the opposite side. This terrifying force, and that fatal attack. This style of play is definitely not possible to maintain Ju all the time. No one would be so mad as soon as they come up. Is this woman crazy? Moreover, her combat power is much stronger than what Sengoku and Zephyr described. When they came back to report, they only said that this woman has a powerful conqueror's Hockey, as well as outstanding naval and air combat capabilities, and so on, but they did not say that her strength and physical defense were so sturdy. So, Marine sent himself and 7 vice admirals over this time, thinking that was enough. But, now it seems, I'm afraid not at all. And while he was so secretly shocked, a muffled sound suddenly came from above his head, high in the sky. Accompanied by the sound of Ziz's arc. Everyone immediately raised their heads and looked towards the sky. I saw a huge thundercloud, already shrouded in the sky over Balone Island. That's what? A vice admiral said with a pale face. When his voice fell, thunder, Charlotte Linlin shouted angrily. Boom. The next moment, a huge thunder and lightning, like a waterfall, poured down from the sky. Boom 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 boom. On the island, lightning flashes in an instant, almost the entire island seems to be submerged in the lightning. This bastard. He even attacked the whole island indiscriminately. Alves was shocked and angry. Then he looked at the surrounding rear admirals. All rear admiral, hurry up and confirm the casualties, protect the civilians. Yes. Couldn't intervene even if he stayed here anyway. The rear admirals responded with a sound, and quickly dashed to various places on the island. And Charlotte Linlin, at this time, was standing on Progerius, looking down at the whole island. Damn it. Alves was annoyed. But at this time, he also understood that, with his own admiral alone, he really couldn't do much with this crazy woman. So, do you want to call for reinforcements right away? Boom blah 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 blah. Just thinking about it, at this moment, on the wrist, the voice of the phone bug rang. Alves had to connect. Hey, Marine Admiral Alves. Alves said loudly, now there's a fierce battle here. What's going on? Tell it in a concise way. Alves. What's going on over there? Opposite, a middle-aged man's voice came. The world noble, Saint Macaulay's is domesticating slaves in the 13th area of the island. Ah no, he is on the island 13. I was visiting the area, and there was an emergency call just now, saying that I was suddenly attacked by lightning. Immediately send someone to protect him. What? Hearing the order from the other side, Alves felt a sudden rush. This place has been turned upside down, and there have been countless casualties. How can there be any effort to specifically manage which person? Above. On the other side, he was completely uninterested in listening to him refute or say anything more, and hung up the phone with a "Bah. Damn it." Looking at the phone bug that had hung up, Alves couldn't help clenching his fists. For a while, there was simply no anger at all. Those guys who can't be scolded. Obviously, before the arrival of the Big Mom pirates, Marine has issued a comprehensive warning, reminding everyone that there may be a war on Balone Island, but as a result, that criticize the guy, or someone came to die. Is this really relying on identity, relying on Marine's absolute protection, and having nothing to fear and dying at will? Or, do you really think there are a few little thieves here this time? Alves was speechless. But now is not the time to stand there annoyed. I have to admit that Marine really despised that crazy woman this time. Don't think she is so beautiful, just treat her like a noble lady who only shows off her looks. She is a monster at all. In addition, no matter how angry you are, as Marine Admiral, and there is a clear order from above, I have to protect some guys now. Rykov, you immediately bring a team of soldiers to Area 13. Alves held back his breath and said to a nearby Vice Admiral, protect the world noble St. Macaulay's there, and evacuate safely. Yes. Vice Admiral named Rokov responded loudly. Then, he waved to the surrounding soldiers, go. The soldiers immediately followed him towards Area 13. At the back, Charlotte Linlin stood on the Sun Prometheus, and at this moment, he raised his eyebrows. Zone 13. Is my husband in Zone 13? No, Mom, underfoot, Prometheus Road, they seem to be referring to another important figure. Important people. Charlotte Linlin widened his eyes, anyway, go and see. Maybe my husband is there too. Yes, Mom. Prometheus responded, and then, carrying Sha Luo and Linlin, chased Vice Admiral Rekov and the Marine soldiers and moved forward quickly. What? Seeing this, Alveston frowned. That woman, what does she want to do? Backquote. At this time, he raised his hand and wanted to catch up to continue fighting, but the long sword in his hand was already broken in two. Alves had to throw away the broken sword that was useless and rushed forward. Ahead, Charlotte Linlin noticed his action and frowned. This guy, his strength is not as good as himself, but it's annoying. Immediately, he stretched out his right hand and quickly smashed something into the nearby alkaman mangrove tree. Stop those guys for me, Charlotte Linlin shouted. After all, the huge alkaman mangrove tree nearby suddenly seemed to have a soul, and turned into an animal that could stretch its hands and feet freely to a certain extent, with several thick and sturdy branches. Suddenly, it swept down from midair. What? Alves was slightly surprised. The next moment, instinctively jumped backwards, dodging far away. Boom. And high in the sky, thundercloud Zeus, at this time, another thunderstorm fell. Damn it. Alves flashed again quickly, and then, cursed. At this time, he looked forward and saw that under the cover of the alkaman mangrove and Layan Zeus, Charlotte Linlin had already distanced himself and went straight to the number 13 mangrove. Tell me, where is Area 13? Over there, Mom. The mangroves seemed to be her faithful servants, stretching their branches and pointing the way. Following the direction pointed by the mangroves, Sha Luo and Linlin moved forward quickly. In front of her, she received the order to go to the number 13 area to protect the Rekov Vice Admiral, who was a certain world noble. At this time, it was neither a battle nor a retreat. She knew that she would lead Charlotte Linlin in this way. At the 13th area, at this time, there is no other way but to use the ability to shave and rush forward. After all, even if he doesn't lead the way, with those mangroves, Charlotte Linlin will also find Area 13 very quickly. Right now, I can only rush over there, in front of Sha Luo and Linlin, to forcibly protect that bastard nobleman. At the back, Alves flashed past the mangrove tree in the harassment of Zeus, a thundercloud in the sky, and quickly chased forward. But at this time, I saw the other mangroves in front of me, as if they all had souls, stretched huge branches one by one, trying every means to block his way. In a blink of an eye, the Balone Islands turned into a magical forest. Damn it. Alves cursed angrily. He quickly sensed it with his sense of sight, and saw that Charlotte Linlin's powerful aura was chasing the aura of Rekov Vice Admiral in front of him, approaching the 13th area. Now, it's going to be bad. Alves had to try his best to dodge the tireless interference of the mangroves, as well as the thunder and lightning that fell from high altitudes, and chased forward fiercely. And Charlotte Linlin, under the guidance of the mangroves, chased Rekov Vice Admiral, and the two reached the 13th area one after the other. In front of a house that was blackened by lightning, I saw a middle-aged man with an air hood on his head and a fat face. At this time, he took 2 kneeling slaves and shrank there tremblingly. St. Macaulay's, this place is dangerous, evacuate with me immediately. Rykov Vice Admiral shouted loudly. Hearing Lekov's voice, the terrified heavenly dragon man Macaulay's face suddenly became domineering. Why are you bastards coming here now? Macaulay scolded unceremoniously, and, to tell me to evacuate. You were not asked to come here to order me. Give it to me immediately. Sha Luo. He hadn't finished speaking yet. At this time, he could only hear from behind Lekov. Charlotte Linlin had once again made a frantic cry. Then, jumped off Prometheus, the huge body, and strode towards Macaulay's. Damn it. Rykov secretly cried out. But at this time, he could neither dodge nor escape. Because, Charlotte Linlin was obviously directed at the celestial dragon Macaris near him. As soon as he flashed, the guy who killed him was completely unguarded. Although that guy is extremely annoying, but this is the order of Alves Admiral, and secondly, he himself can't lose next, run away in front of the pirates and lead to the arrest of the world's nobles. The crime, at this moment, even if you block it, you can only hold on. Lekov immediately drew his sword, did not avoid dodging, and forcibly confronted Sha Luo and Linlin. Seeing this, Sha Luo and Linlin frowned. This guy actually wants to stop himself from finding his husband? Charlotte Linlin was furious. Then, he raised his huge arm and waved it unstoppably forward. Call. The next moment, Rykov, together with the sword in his hand, flew out like a cannonball. Then, with a bang, he crashed into a house not far away. You're in the way. Go to the side, Charlotte Linlin said loudly, then. Having said that, with a few big strides, he reached the front of Macaris, who was still arrogant just now. With big eyes, he glanced at the guy with the fat face. The important person they said was you. Seeing Sha Luo, Linlin smashed the Vice Admiral of Rykov directly with his sword with one punch. On the opposite side, Macaris, who was still arrogant just now, was already involuntarily horrified. What's more, the other party has such a huge body. However, looking at the other nearby residents who were timidly kneeling there even if the sky fell, and thinking about his incomparably noble status that no one dared to disobey, Macaris quickly recovered some of his previous status. Momentum. You, who are you? Macaris looked arrogant and looked at Charlotte Linlin said, when you see yourself, Saint Macaulay's, why don't you kneel down? Macaulay's. Saint? Sha Luo. Linlin repeated the name. Then, as if to treat waste, ignore it. What about my husband? Charlotte Linlin continued. What? How dare you despise me like this? Macaulay's angrily said, who knows where your husband died? Hearing his last sentence, Sha Luo's brows twitched tightly. Then, he stretched out his hand and grabbed Macaulay's. You. What do you want to do? Charlotte Linlin is over 10 meters tall, while Macaulay's is only about 1.8 meters. The height difference between the two sides is 6 or 7 times. Suddenly struggling like a chicken, he was shocked. Dare to curse my husband, and Sha Luo and Linlin, now exasperated. Who gave you such a qualification? Saying that, he raised Macaulay's high. Then, an angry shout. Ah! The next moment, he threw Macaulay's on the ground in front of him angrily. Ah! Macaulay's exclaimed, shish. At this time, I saw a figure nearby, and a figure flashed quickly, and instantly reached the vicinity of Macaulay's who was thrown out. Then, call. Only a loud noise was heard, and Macaulay's hit the ground heavily. The ground suddenly cracked, and some gravel that was laid on the roots of the Alkaman mangrove tree flew up in an instant. Charlotte Linlin's pupils moved. The gravel fell, and I saw that in the cracked ground, the previous Marine Admiral Alves came over in just a moment, caught Macaulay's in midair and then used his body as a shield to force the ground protected him and took most of the momentum on his behalf. But even so, because it was really too late, a small half of Macaulay's body hit the ground heavily and smashed into the ground at this moment. Ah! What happened to the Tianlong people? Sha Luo said angrily, dare to curse my husband and tell you not to live for a second. Saying that, he strode forward and punched Macaulay's in the ground with a punch. Seeing this, Alves gritted his teeth, took Macaris, and jumped from the ground in an instant. Charlotte Linlin punched in the air, the ground was attacked, and the gravel splashed in an instant. In midair, Alves secretly exhaled. Although in the impact just now, because of the emergency, I didn't have the time to strengthen myself in an all-round way, so I had to use the right half of my body to forcibly resist the powerful impact, which caused some injuries to my right arm, but luckily I managed to catch up. Shoo! Shoo! But at this time, behind him, the sound of an object suddenly sounded. Alves was taken aback. When he glanced at the back, he saw that on both sides of the back, as well as above his head, there were already huge branches of the alkaman mangrove, and they quickly swept towards him. In front of him, Charlotte Linlin missed a hit, and at this moment, he was already ruthless. He had to kill Macaulay's, quickly caught up, and punch him again. Oops, Alves secretly screamed. At this moment, all the escape routes are blocked, and it is inevitable that they can only meet them head-on. But this is not the most important thing. The most important thing is that if you are alone, you can still punch in the fist. But now, the right arm is injured, and there is a Tianlong man in the left arm, and it is impossible to throw it. Lost, for a while, there is no way. And Charlotte Linlin's huge fist had already hit him in an instant. Seeing this, Alves gritted his teeth, twisted his body in midair and at the same time strengthened his left half of his body with all his strength, and then, directly met him. Call. Ah! In midair, Macaulay's screamed in pain. Ding. Naval Headquarters. Marineford. A crisp system prompt sounded in Sha Luo's mind. Sha Luo was slightly surprised. Then, quickly opened the system interface. System prompt. Easter egg 10 successfully opened. Easter egg 10. Dominator's domain, in public, openly and seriously injuring or killing a Tianlong person who represents supreme authority can awaken the tyrant temperament that ignores authority and open up a unique, dominator's domain. Yes, host's spouse, or host's biological children are valid. No matter who completes the Easter egg, it can be regarded as host's instruction. Host is responsible, and host and corresponding characters will obtain corresponding abilities at the same time. The Easter egg is currently successfully opened, and the personal exclusive, Dominator territory, is opened. Using this ability, you can directly use the domineering aura to force coercion on a designated area or a designated enemy, or cause substantial physical oppression, or even command the world and change the color of the situation. You can also use this ability to forcibly counteract the influence of some spiritual systems. Please comprehend and develop other applications by yourself. Before reading the corresponding instructions, Sha Luo quickly felt a special power flowing through her body. And quickly and completely integrated with itself. It seems that every cell of the body, and even his own soul, has completely become a part of himself. Ah! Sha Luo couldn't help but be taken aback. Could it be? What's the matter, Sha Luo? On the opposite side, Zephyr laughed. If you lose your mind, you will lose this game. Hearing Zephyr's words, Sha Luo couldn't help but be silent. At the same time, thoughts flew in my head. Boundary of tyrants. The opening condition of this Easter egg is, in public, openly seriously injure or kill a dragon who represents the supreme authority, but this kind of thing obviously hasn't been done yet. After all, although you can run away after you beat the Tianlong people, and leave the sentence, running after pretending to be a force, it's really exciting, but the two daughters are still young, it is inconvenient to bring them, so I don't bring them with them, will implicate them again. So, recently, after thinking about it for a while, I still tend to endure it for a few years and wait for my daughters to grow up. Anyway, the Easter egg system does not impose restrictions such as opening the Easter egg within a limited time of XX, it is only responsible for telling you where the Easter egg is and how to open it. When playing games, there are some Easter eggs that don't matter, the plot is the same, go on. He didn't act right away. And his two spouses, Lisa and Tia, should not suddenly have a fever, see which Tianlong people are bullying people, and then directly draw their swords, facing each other. As for the two biological women, Gion and Hina, they are only 3 years old. Even if they want to fight, they can't beat the Tianlong people now, and it is impossible to severely wound, or even kill, anyone. Then this way. The Easter egg is valid for the host's spouse, or the host's biological children. No matter who completes the Easter egg, it can be regarded as the host's instruction. The host is responsible, and the host and the corresponding characters will obtain the corresponding abilities at the same time. The host's spouse, or host's biological child, in the conventional sense has already ruled out the possibility, so there is only one possibility. I also have a spouse, although I have never admitted it, but because it is bound to the initial mysterious Easter egg, the system has always recognized her. Charlotte Linlin? Could it be that she injured or even killed the Tianlong people just now? Shit. For a moment, Sha Luo was speechless. Fighting the Tianlong people, touching the female emperor, soaking up the female emperor, isn't this the exclusive routine of the male protagonist in YY novels? But now, the 4 emperors and beat up the Tianlong people, what the hell is this? Mistaken. Forget it. Forget it. Regardless of whether it was a mistake, anyway, this time, I made a lot of money by accident. The system is the system, it doesn't care whether it has any dominant spirit, and then beats the Tianlong people in anger. Under its search, Charlotte Linlin beat the Tianlong people, which meets the conditions for opening the Easter egg, so the Easter egg should be opened as a matter of course. Meticulously programmed. And in this way, Charlotte Linlin actually hit the Tianlong people, so this also means that, first, the front on Marine's side has been defeated by Charlotte Linlin broke through quickly. And secondly, one admiral may not be able to stand Charlotte Linlin, the other admiral are about to be dispatched. Really? Quickly sorting out everything in her mind, Sha Luo looked at Zephyr opposite, smiled and said, "Who can predict what will happen in the future? Speaking of which, I am filled with emotion. I didn't expect that it was actually Charlotte Linlin helped him open this Easter egg. Before this happened, even he did not expect it." On the other side, Marine Admiral Zephyr, who had come to play chess with him, who had clearly said from the very beginning, "Come to watch you for a while, and at the same time be a witness, to prove innocence in the future." How could he have expected the same? Next, what kind of shock will Marine's side cause because of Charlotte attack? The two then continued to play chess. However, before he could take a few steps, he could only hear the phone worm ringing on Zephyr's wrist. Zephyr picks up the phone. "Hello, Marine Officer Zephyr. What's the matter?" "Zephyr, where are you now?" On the opposite side, Marine Marshal Kong's voice came. "Play chess in Major Sha Luo's room," Zephyr said. This is also intentionally or unintentionally to prove Sha Luo's innocence, although Sha Luo is not uncommon to prove that stuff. Is there a problem? Dragon people were officially attacked by Sha Luo. Linlin on Balone Island, and Alves failed to stop that woman alone. Kong said, "Now, Alves is trying to protect the dragon people, seriously wounded, and the life and death of the Tianlong people are unknown. The Holy Land asked Admiral to send reinforcements immediately. Zephyr, you and Sengoku, immediately dispatched. Meet Charlotte Linlin." What? Hearing Kong's words, Zephyr's face couldn't help moving. Alves Admiral and 7 Vice Admiral can't stop the weird woman who is roaring and chasing her husband all over the world. No, what's more important than this is, that woman actually launched an attack. Since watching the battle between Charlotte Linlin and Whitebeard at sea with Sengoku, Zephyr and Sengoku already knew very well that Charlotte Linlin's strength should not be underestimated, especially at sea. But even so, the direct attack on the islands heavily guarded by Marine's Admiral and Vice Admiral was beyond everyone's expectations. Originally, even he thought that Charlotte Linlin would not act rashly when he saw that Marine was waiting, but would automatically retreat after making a statement. After all, the pirates running to the position set up by Marine and Marine would do no good to K. Therefore, there is no need for Marine to make himself too nervous and send all the Admiral Vice Admiral to him. But now, that giant woman who plays cards out of line. Call. Zephyr couldn't help but punch the table in front of him. On the table, the chess pieces suddenly jumped up slightly and became scattered. Seeing this, Sha Luo sighed slightly. Not only Zephyr, but even he, didn't expect the situation to develop like this before he received the system prompt. "It seems that this game can't be continued," Sha Luo said slowly. "Let's talk later," Zephyr said, "I'll be out first." Immediately, stand up. Then hurried out of the house and headed for Marineford Harbor. Interesting. Sha Luo thought to himself. Then, next, should I also find a place to try this unexpected, tyrant territory? However, I don't know what will happen next. He didn't expect that Sha Luo and Linlin actually launched an attack. Originally, he just waited and waited for Charlotte Linlin to withdraw automatically after seeing Marine's formation, but now, he suddenly felt a little concerned. Zephyr was already on his way to Marineford Harbor. Unsurprisingly, next, Charlotte Linlin will face the combined attack of Zephyr and Sengoku. It's a bit like the Golden Lion fighting Garp and Sengoku in the original book. As for the outcome, who knows what it will be. Sha Luo was a little concerned, but then, he let out a sigh of relief. Speaking of which, what should I do with her? Anyway, I'm not going to be a pirate, nor am I going to do anything to her. Think about the later image of Big Mom in the original book, especially when he went crazy and even ate and killed his own children, as well as the experience of changing a dozen husbands, no matter how good she was when she met that woman, and how much effort it took to get him back this time. Everything still made Sha Luo unable to think about it. After all, which man likes to turn into a green grassland on the top of his head? What's more, the other party's eating disorder attacked like that. In addition, it is also used for husbands and thrown away, just like a cedar. It's better not to have a relationship with her. What's more, I also have a wife and a daughter. Thinking of this, Sha Luo immediately calmed down. Although Charlotte Linlin may have fallen in love with himself at first sight due to systematic reasons, but, just like falling in love in the three-dimensional world, the other party chases you, and you don't like the other party, so do you have to be responsible for the other party? Well, although there is indeed a little responsibility. After all, Charlotte Linlin was trapped by the initial mysterious Easter egg that he opened. But, speaking of pits, I was also pitted, and I was in tears at the time. Thinking about the previous experience, Sha Luo was speechless for a while. Forget it. I still don't want those things of the past. Next, hurry up and try this unexpected dominator territory. Sha Luo immediately stood up and was ready to go out. Dad. Do you want to go out? Guillaume, who was drawing with a crayon beside him, said in his mouth. Go buy some fresh vegetables and let your mother fry them at night, Sha Luo said. I'll go with my dad, Guillaume said with great interest upon hearing this. Sha Luo regretted a little. I don't need it today. Mom is out for training. You can play with Sister Hina at home. Is that so? Guillaume thought for a while. Okay, I'll listen to Dad. Good girl. Sha Luo walked over, touched Guillaume's head, and then touched Hina again, then walked out of the room. So, who should I try next? Sha Luo walked forward. It is definitely not convenient to try in a place with a lot of people. After all, if a lot of people are thrown all at once, a fool will find that there is a problem. In this case, you have to go to a place with fewer people as much as possible, find a few tricks, and try it. Sha Luo looked at it, and after a while, walked into a relatively deserted alley. Let go of me. Let go of me. At this time, on the other side of the alley, a girl shouted loudly. What's happening? Hearing the sound, Sha Luo was a little curious, and then followed the sound and walked forward. Soon, first saw a marine officer, with a few soldiers, and two teenage girls in custody, walking towards him. Seeing those two girls, Sha Luo couldn't help but be taken aback. At the same time, on the opposite side, seeing Sha Luo approaching, the two detained girls were stunned at the same time. Then, one of the girls with purple hair and a big nose shouted loudly. Father! I finally found you! Save me! Save me! Hearing her cry, Sha Luo was stunned again. Father! When they heard her name, the marine officer and the soldiers who were escorting them were also stunned. Then the officer wearing the lieutenant junior grade badge said. Who is your father? He is our marine's outstanding major, Major Sha Luo. Sha Luo is now a well-known figure in Marine because of his victory over the blue enchantress Aurora Babena, and his family background is even more well-known. Everyone knew that he did have two lovely daughters, but not the two in front of him. Yes. My father is called Sha Luo. The purple-haired girl shouted again. I'm Bewley. Father. Amando and I are your daughters. Help me. Hearing the purple-haired girl's undisguised cry again, Sha Luo couldn't help being speechless. This guy, in the original book, was a Super Pig teammate. In the Big Mom arc, I don't know how many god assists he sent to his opponent, Straw Hat Crew. Now, although he is only 10 years old, but the potential of pig teammates is really innate since childhood. That's right, that purple-haired girl is the person with the mirror fruit ability in the original book, Charlotte Linlin of the Big Mom Pirates. If her facial features are not too obvious, after all, there is not only one purple-haired woman in this world, then the girl next to her is even more recognizable. Ghost Lady. Amando, because he is a snake-headed family, has a very long, snake-like neck. In addition, he has a cold temperament like a snake. In this One Piece world, I'm afraid it will be difficult to find similar people again. Why were the two of them suddenly caught here? And, still calling me father. Father! Help me! Seeing that Sha Luo didn't speak immediately, Bray shouted again. Hearing her cry, Sha Luo was even more speechless. This guy is really out of his mind. If you keep calling like this, the entire naval headquarters will be called by you. Believe it or not. But, no matter how pigmate. Father, Bray shouted again. That title can't be ignored. Moreover, it is not like a play, but it seems to come from the heart. By the way, does this big-mouthed pig teammate have the slightest talent for acting? Sha Luo took a deep breath. This girl is really noisy, and her brain is not normal. Sha Luo looked at the young lieutenant junior grade and said, you should stop her mouth first, and then continue to escort. Hearing his words, on the opposite side, Bray couldn't help but be stunned. Beside him, Amando, who had been silently looking at him, had his eyelashes sinking slightly, and his face that was originally cold, couldn't help but become even less warm. So it is. Lieutenant Junior Grade's eyes lit up. We didn't expect this. Fortunately, we will be escorted to the temporary interrogation center right away, so let's do it then. Yeah. Sha Luo laughed. Then hurry up. Yes, said Lieutenant Junior Grade. Then, the two sides passed by, and Sha Luo continued to walk forward. Father. Behind, Bu, who was pulled forward by, muttered, Father, it's me. Bray, don't call. Beside, Amando said coldly, we have already missed, it is useless. Woo. Father. Bray cried. Although I haven't tried it before. Sha Luo thought to himself, however, if you use the heart to perceive, and use the sense of sight to match conquerors. Sha Luo took a breath, then frowned. The next moment, an invisible coercion quietly descended on the heads of the Lieutenant Junior Grade and the soldiers. Plop. 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 The Lieutenant Junior Grade and several soldiers collapsed immediately. Ziz. Ziz. At the same time, in some places around, some arcs are beating faintly, which makes the surveillance phone bugs that may exist nearby temporarily lose the possibility of transmitting the signal. Plop. 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 Without any symptoms at all, the Lieutenant Junior Grade and several soldiers fell one after another. He remained motionless and fell into a coma. Seeing this scene, Bray, who was talking, and Amando, who had a cold face, couldn't help but be stunned. What's going on? Bray exclaimed in surprise. Amando frowned. Then, he turned his head quickly and looked back. But at this time, there was only a swoosh sound, the light and shadow flickered in front of him, and a figure had already flashed over. Seeing the lightning-like speed, Bray and Amando couldn't help but startled again. Then, seeing the face of the figure, he was surprised again. Father. Bray exclaimed suddenly. You. Amando raised his brows and looked at him in shock. The person who flashed over was undoubtedly Sha Luo. Although it is only the first time to try Conqueror's Hockey, but fortunately, because of his years of training and the addition of electromagnetic ability, his vision is very good. With such excellent vision, he tried to cooperate with Conquerors, although he did not go through additional exercising, but the first time she used, Sha Luo succeeded in pinpointing Conquerors. Accurately stuns Lieutenant Junior Grade and several soldiers. Then, electromagnetic interference was quickly used to prevent all nearby signals from being transmitted. Simply put, it's like modern warfare blocks the enemy's radar. Except for Bree's big mouth, Ba, which may attract attention directly. That thing can be heard without radar. Are you guys from the Big Mom Pirates? How did you get here? Sha Luo said in a deep voice, quickly flashing in front of Bree and Amando. Father. Is it you? Did you knock them down? Bray exclaimed, Ooh. If your voice is louder, I really want to stop your mouth. Sha Luo said, this is Naval Headquarters, how did you sneak in here? I came here using the ability of the mirror fruit. Bree was really answering any question, just like the Straw Hat crew in the original book, not to mention that the one who is in front of her now is the father she has believed since she was a child. I and I sister Amando, using the ability of my mirror fruit, from Balone Island, after 2 turns, I finally came here. I was trying to find my father, but was found by those Marines and arrested. Mirror fruit? Sha Luo asked knowingly. Well, it's the ability to act in a mirror, Bradley Road. That's just right. Sha Luo said, let's talk in the mirror first. This is not the place to talk slowly, and Bree is a chatterer. Bray responded excitedly. Sha Luo immediately found the key from the fainted Lieutenant Junior Grade, untied the chains on Bray and Amando's hands, and then looked around, trying to find a mirror. There is a mirror where we were caught just now, and there are not many guards nearby. At this time, Amando said with his usual coldness, so we were careless and thought we could catch a Marine soldier to ask you about it. The whereabouts of the man, but after he emerged from the mirror, he was caught instead. Really? Sha Luo said, then let's lead the way. The three immediately headed towards the direction that Bree and Amando had been brought over. Before long, I saw a few soldiers wandering in front of me. Sha Luo frowned, and the invisible pressure was released again. The soldiers immediately fell. Seeing this scene, Bree couldn't help but be amazed. It really is as powerful as Mom. And it looks like he can control it better than Mom. Bray said loudly, my father is really powerful. Hearing her loud compliment, Sha Luo really had a rush to stop her mouth immediately. Anyway, let's talk about it in the mirror. Quickly using the electromagnetic ability also blocked the possible signal transmission. Sha Luo walked quickly to the mirror that Amando said with Bree and Amando. Then, Bray displayed his ability, and the three of them got in. Father. Back in the familiar mirror world, with a sense of security, Pudding suddenly hugged Sha Luo's thigh and shouted. This made Sha Luo even more puzzled. Speaking of which, why do you call me father? Sha Luo said. What? Hearing his words, Bree couldn't help but be taken aback. You have been our father since you were a child, Bray said. What do you mean? Sha Luo said. You are Mom's husband, so all the children of our big mom pirates must call you father. Beside, Amando said coldly, don't you know this? Sha Luo was taken aback. He really didn't know what was going on. And, not to mention that he didn't promise to marry Charlotte Linlin. Even if he was married, he didn't have any children with her. What's the matter with all the children of Big Mom calling him their father? Don't call her other husband a father. What about your mom? Other husbands? Sha Luo asked. Other husbands. Amando said, how can there be such a thing? Hearing Amando's words, Sha Luo couldn't help being stunned again. No way? In the original book, Sha Luo had changed her husband more than a dozen times. Linlin, now, 16 years later, has not been married yet? Amando and Bree don't seem like the kind of people who make up lies, especially Bree. And the two of them are now in their teens and can't make up such a good lie. What they say should have high credibility. As for Charlotte Linlin is not married, has no husband, but where did he have so many children? That kind of thing. Thinking about Sha Luo T. Linlin's aggressive character in the original book, maybe you can guess one or two, and you don't have to ask these even some poor children forcibly. That's right, adoption, or even robbery, maybe, is the source of these children. And she herself, for her own sake, has not been married for 16 years? It's no wonder that I felt strange when I saw her hundreds of millions of wanted orders 2 years ago. Her appearance is simply beautiful, and it has become farther and farther away from the later Big Mom in the original book. It seems that there should be no crazy childbirth like in the original book, plus a certain amount of maintenance, so the appearance is much better than in the original book. Forcibly robbing other people's children, but being unmarried for 16 years because of herself, Sha Luo's heart was filled with mixed feelings for a moment. It's time to be moved by this guy who has been waiting for him for more than 10 years. Maybe both. By the way, it seems that you don't know about Mom and us. Amando said coldly, then why save us? Is it weird? Sha Luo sighed when she heard her words. I don't know either. About. It's because you called me father. Hearing his words, Amando's icy face couldn't help being stunned. Father. In fact, he never really wanted to call the man who had never met and who might not be willing to recognize him as his daughter. Because that word means nothing to me. He treats him, and he treats himself, as strangers, and there is no blood or soul relationship between the two. But in the end, because of such a title, so, he shot directly? Amando looked at Sha Luo with a look of surprise, at this young man who was once very strange. And Sha Luo sighed again. He really did not intend to have a relationship with the Big Mom pirates. After all, he didn't plan to be a pirate, and he had a psychological shadow on Big Mom after reading the original book before, and he never promised her anything 16 years ago, even if Big Mom wished him to be her husband, that it's not about him. Men and women are in love with each other. I want to, I don't want to, I can't let you Big Mom force me back like 16 years ago, right? It should have been like this. So this time, he has been watching the changes. But, in the face of a girl who keeps calling herself father, from her heart. No man is indifferent. What's more, he is also a father with 2 daughters. No father would turn a blind eye to his daughter's cries. Is this an emotional affair? Maybe. But don't talk about this now. At this time, Bray exclaimed, Father, come back with us to see Mom immediately. Otherwise, I will be killed by Mom. Kill you? Sha Luo asked curiously, what did you do again? It's not because of me. Bray said, Mom's schizophrenia broke out. In the past, there was a chef who used the ability to eat fruit to make her the most satisfying statue of your father. What? Hearing her say this, Sha Luo was taken aback. Sympathy? What new term? Isn't that an eating disorder? Yeah. Mom sometimes misses you, my father, but can't see you. He will suddenly go crazy. Look for your father everywhere, and attack directly when he encounters obstacles, Bree said. Except for the chef's use, there is no other way to relieve the fruit-eating ability to make her most satisfied. Father you statue. Backquote. F*K. Hearing Bulay's words, Sha Luo was speechless in her heart. I remember when I met your mom before. Didn't she like sweets very much? Sha Luo said. Didn't she go crazy because she wanted sweets? Crazy craving for sweets? Bree asked, a little surprised. Is there such a thing? Sha Luo was speechless again. Charlotte Linlin's famous eating disorder in the original book, could it be said that because of himself, it has become sickness? In other words, I never agreed to be her husband. Then what? Sha Luo asked again. Ah. Then, today, the chef just went to another island to buy ingredients, Bray quickly continued, but at this moment, Mom went crazy, and almost no one but Father you recognized, she put the I grabbed it and almost killed me. In a hurry, I pointed to the island of Balone in front of me and said, Father, you are on the island, and Mom left me and rushed to the island. But Mom said, if I dare to lie to her, I will pay it back with my life. Father, I don't want Mom to take my life away and die. Several younger siblings have already died because of this. Mom is getting annoyed. I will never let anyone go. Even my own children. Only Father, you can save me. Ah hey. Hearing this, Sha Luo was silent. Big Mom is still the same Big Mom, although his mind has always been very simple, but more often, it is also simple cruelty, killing children, killing women, killing people on islands, and so on. Therefore, in the original work, when Straw Hat Crew made trouble, even her own children, many people either had their own scheming or rebelled directly, and their hearts had already fallen apart. In a sense, when her children are also pitiful. But having said that, this woman was unexpectedly eager to herself. Even the Ching Ching Prairie, that he was most worried about had not happened in the past 16 years. So, are you trying to impress me or disgust me? Sha Luo's heart, mixed feelings, one episode. But no matter what, the children are always innocent, right? Well, although these children who became pirates have blood on their hands to some extent, they are not so innocent in other respects. Father, you really want to save me? Bray said, come back with us. No, I can't go back with you now, Sha Luo said. When I first faced Whitebeard, I said that I didn't want to be a pirate yet. What's more, the two daughters are just 3 years old now. As a father, even if he leaves Marine to become a lone ranger, he can't openly join the Big Mom pirates and implicate them now. What's more, I really can't tell exactly how I feel about Sha Luo and Linlin. Disgust and emotion coexist. I have never had such complicated emotions towards anyone. Exactly, both of them have a giant's lifespan, anyway, with a lifespan of 300 years. Ah. Then I'm dead, Bray exclaimed in shock. It's okay, you are my daughters, I won't let your mom hurt you. Sha Luo thought for a while and said, you should be fine if you bring back some tokens from me. Really? Hearing this, Bray turned to surprise. What token do you want to bring? This, Sha Luo pondered. Originally, in this case, taking a personal photo of yourself, or even a private person, photo, should be able to prove that Bree has seen her, and then she will leave some words on the back of the photo to let Charlotte Linlin treat her children well, almost even if you can. But, take a personal photo back. There is always a feeling of being heroic about to go back with a posthumous photo. However, if you don't have a personal photo, what would be more appropriate to bring? Ah. Got it. Sha Luo's heart moved, and soon, she looked at Bree and Amando. Bray, Amando, take a photo with your father. Group photo? Bray and Amando were taken aback. That's right. Sha Luo smiled and said, I have taken a photo with me, my daughter, who dares to hurt her, I will never forgive her. Hearing his words, I recognize the daughter. Bree and Amando's faces moved together. That's great. The next moment, Bray cheered with joy. In this case, Mom can indeed let me go. Okay. Come on now, Sha Luo said. Speaking of which, the situation is actually quite urgent now. After taking the photo, you have to rush back immediately and report to your mom. Report? Amando said, puzzled. Yeah. Sha Luo's face was slightly solemn. Your mom defeated Marine Admiral Alves, and at the same time seriously injured the world nobles, Tianlong people. Now the situation has become serious, and the other two admiral from naval headquarters have rushed over together. If you don't retreat earlier, no one can predict the situation. When you're done, take a breath. To be honest, my current identity is still a Marine, and I have always been friends with Zephyr. Now I directly disclose Zephyr's whereabouts to Big Mom, who is a pirate. Not very kind. However, even though he has not fallen in love with Charlotte Linlin, as a man, how can he watch a woman get killed for chasing him? She can be injured or even killed in other battles in the future. That is the path she chooses, and she naturally has to bear all possible outcomes. But, only this time, she came only to chase after herself. He couldn't stand on the sidelines any longer. Is that so? Hearing Sha Luo's words, Bree said with a surprised face, 2 more admirals? That's really bad. The mom's schizophrenia attack was very powerful, more severe than usual, but it dragged on for a long time. Is said to be a little debilitating. Then come quickly, Sha Luo said. Saying that, with a concentration, he took out a camera phone bug from the storage space. In the past few years at Marine, he wasn't unprepared. If there are any good and practical things, as long as they don't take up too much space, it's not a bad thing to throw 2 into the storage space. He now has several types of phone bugs in his storage space, plus some miscellaneous things like seastone handcuffs. There is also a bench. The bench is everywhere, but sometimes, when you want to use it, it is not necessarily just around. So Sha Luo had nothing to do and saved one. At this moment, the bench was also taken out. Sha Luo sat on the bench and motioned to Bree and Amando to come over quickly. Seeing this, Bray had already approached, and Amando, after a little hesitation, also approached a little. Just like taking a selfie in modern society, Sha Luo took the camera phone bug and confronted the 3 of them. That. Father. Amando said suddenly. What's wrong? Sha Luo asked. Don't you think my appearance isn't quite in the mirror? Amando said, it doesn't quite match the appearance of my father. What? Hearing Amando's words, Sha Luo was slightly taken aback. Amando is a snake-headed family, with a particularly long neck from birth, and even has a human giraffe feeling. From the perspective of ordinary humans, this body type is indeed unusual, and even in the eyes of some people it can be said that is monster. However, when it comes to body shape and looks, in the original book, Bray was already a dead tree when he was in his 40s, but so what? What are you thinking about? Sha Luo glanced at her and said, how can a father think that his daughter is not worthy of taking pictures with him? Hearing his words, Amando's eyes that were always as cold as snakes suddenly moved. The next moment, extremely rare, softly, replied in a low voice. Then, like Bree, get a little closer. The 2 were on the left and the right, leaning on the shoulders of Sha Luo. And Sha Luo held up the camera phone bug, crack. The photo was taken quickly. Then, Bcad spit out from under the camera. The 3 got together and looked at it, and the effect was not bad. In particular, Amando, who was as cold as a snake, seemed to have changed his face temporarily, with a temperature of 1 degree. Sha Luo took out another pen. Then, after thinking about it, on the back of the photo, write the following line. Sharpen the children and be kind to my daughter, Sha Luo. Okay, that's it. Sha Luo handed the photo to Amando and said, you 2, hurry back and report the news. Be careful on the way. Also, I still need to stay in the Marine for a while now, or resign to be an idle person who is temporarily not wanted. Tell you mom. This photo must not be circulated. The photo is a token. If the token is in the hands of outsiders, I may not consider seeing her again. Well. Amando took the photo and replied. Also, after rushing back, don't rush into the battlefield. Try to find a reliable brother and pass the word on. Sha Luo thought for a while, then added, before that, don't tell anyone irrelevant about this matter. People. Especially the head chef you mentioned just now. Why? Hearing the reminder behind him, Amando and Bree were puzzled. Maybe I thought too much and wronged a good person. I always feel that this time your mom suddenly got sick and it's a bit strange. Sha Luo said, the chef just happened to be away, and your mom just got sick. Don't you think it's a coincidence? Hearing his words, Amando and Bray couldn't help but stunned. I will pay attention, Amando said seriously. Yeah. Sha Luo nodded. Okay, that's about all you need to pay attention to. Next, let me out, and you should go back and report the news. It is good. Bu Lei responded, and then activated the related abilities of Jingjing Fruit. Sha Luo looked out of the mirror that came in just now, and saw that the soldiers who had been stunned before had not woken up immediately. After all, the 3 of them didn't waste much time in the mirror world. Immediately, he put his hand out of the mirror. First, let out a piece of electromagnetic and interfere with it, just in case. Then, jumped out. Go back quickly. Bray's mirror fruit. If one of the 2 parties is in the mirror and the other is outside the mirror, if they stand facing the mirror, they can see each other. Standing outside the mirror, Sha Luo waved to Amando and Bray, signaling for them to set off immediately. Yeah. The 2 responded in the mirror. Then, Amando glanced at Sha Luo again. Then, and Bree quickly ran forward in the mirror world. Sha Luo also quickly confirmed that no one or phone bugs noticed him nearby. Immediately, leave quickly. Before long, I went to the small market in Marineford to buy some food to take home. Dad. My sister drew a very nice picture. Pushing open the door, Guillaume said excitedly when she saw her father coming back. Really? Sha Luo smiled softly, let me see. Having said that, he walked over and admired the abstract works drawn by his 3-year-old daughter Hina, which were full of imagination, which I didn't quite understand, but seemed quite good in the eyes of the two daughters. On the other side, Amando and Bree went through many twists and turns in the mirror world, and they also turned once in the Sabodi archipelago. Soon, they also quickly returned to the Big Mom pirate ship from the mirror. At this time, I saw that the head chef who had gone out to buy ingredients previously had just returned halfway. Amando, Bree, why did the two of you suddenly come back? Seeing that Amando and Bree came back, the powdered sugar cream immediately said. We just. Bree opened her mouth to say something. We met a powerful enemy just now and were almost caught and imprisoned. Amando interrupted Bree and said, where's brother Katakuri? Master Katakuri and others are now attacking marine warships near the coast, said Hormes, who was left behind, and seems to have successfully captured several warships. He himself is there now. He pointed to one of the warships near the coast. Bree, we'll find him right away. Amandola picked up Bree and said. Oh. Bree seemed to come back to his senses, and soon returned to the cabin with Amando and reopened the mirror. The two soon returned to the mirror world, and then went to the corresponding warship. Through the mirror world, Amando and Bree quickly arrived on a warship near the coast of Balone Island ahead. According to Katakuri, it is difficult for someone to stop the rampant mom for a while, even if the opponent is Marine Admiral. Of course, if 2 or even more Admiral-level masters were besieging, it would be hard to say. And if the battle of the crazy mom, if you casually intervene in it, even your own people are likely to be affected. Therefore, what they have to do is not to directly go to mom to attack the enemy's main force. Instead, it removes the enemy's other forces to ensure that they are not chased and beaten by the enemy when they need to retreat. Amando and Bree quickly arrived at the warship, and when they rushed out of the cabin with the mirror, they saw that Katakuri had already knocked down all the marines and occupied the ship. Next to Sha Luo, Owen, Daifuku, and Cracker were preparing to go to the ship. Another warship left. Brother Katakuri. Bree shouted. Bree. When Amando and Bree came out of the mirror, Katakuri had already noticed someone, and when he saw it was the two of them, he couldn't help but look surprised. It's dangerous here. Why did you come here? Although Bree is an uncontrollable big mouth, but surprisingly, this guy is almost a group pet in the Big Mom pirate group, and almost all brothers, sisters, and sisters take care of her. This is maybe it has something to do with her lack of brains, or, to put it mildly, Sean, pure. Brother Katakuri, I saw my father. Bree said loudly, my father gave me a token. I want to give it to Om. Real? Hearing her words, Katakuri, Owen, Daifuku, and Cracker couldn't help but look surprised. When they sent Bree and Amando to sneak behind the marine to find their father Sha Luo, they really hoped that they could find clues, but everyone secretly thought that it would take a long time, and they might even come back empty-handed. Got the result? And, what else did you bring back? This efficiency is really unexpectedly high. In a sense, this is probably a fool's blessing, right? If you send a smarter one, you won't be easily caught by the Marine Lieutenant Junior grade, and then shout, Father, no matter what. Now, everything is really hard to say. However, those are already ifs. In addition, Father also asked us to bring back urgent information. Bree added, Mom defeated a certain admiral in Marine and injured some world nobles. Now Naval Headquarters has sent 2 admiral to reinforce together. Father, I hope Mom can retreat quickly. Yes? Hearing her words, Katakuri and the others could not help frowning. The 2 Marine admirals, even Mom, would be in danger if they continued to fight. Everyone said here, at this time, nearby, a Marine officer who was seriously injured and lying there, was shocked when they heard that they had actually obtained Marine's information, and wanted to say something. Seeing this, Amando immediately drew the sword from Chu's waist and walked over quickly. Sheesh. The next moment, a sword stabbed the officer directly to death. Amando? Seeing this, Katakuri and the others said with surprise. Killing the fish that slipped through the net was originally what they wanted to do, but they didn't expect that Amando was more active and decisive than anyone else this time, even ruthless. Although she has never been warm to the enemy, that's all. My father said that I still need to stay in Marine for a while now, or resign and become an idle person who is not wanted for the time being, Amando said coldly, no one who threatens my father can stay. After he finished speaking, he drew his sword and looked around at the other Marine soldiers who were lying down, to see if there was still any alive, and heard the conversation just now. Seeing this, everyone was secretly surprised again. This younger sister went out to see her father, and she felt like a different person. She used to be as indifferent to the topic of her father as her snake pupil, but now she feels the opposite. However, now I don't have time to care about those. Except for the members of the Big Mom pirates on the ship, there is no one to live. At this time, Katakuri looked at Bray again and said, Bray, is the news you said really reliable? Yes, brother. Bray said loudly, my father told us personally. Sister Amando also has a photo of him and me and Sister Amando. And a handwritten letter to Mom. My father's message to Mom, he takes great care of us, and he is very powerful and handsome. Amando, really? Katakuri looked at Amando and asked. Yes, brother. Amando took out the photo from the clothes and handed it to Katakuri. Nearby, Owen, Daifuku, and Cracker also got close and took a look. I saw that the photo was indeed as Bray said. It was a group photo of the father and the two of them, but the expression on Amando's face in the photo seems to be a bit indescribably peculiar. It was as if the willows in the snow had buds. My father has told him that he still needs to stay in the marine for a while now, and told us to tell Mom that this photo must not be circulated. The photo is a token. If the token is in the hands of outsiders, he may not consider seeing him again. Amando said again, the back of the photo is the words left by my father. Hearing this, Katakuri turned the photo over. When I saw it, there was a line of words, sharpen the children and be kind to my daughter, Sha Luo. With this photo, even if I lied to Mom before, can I be forgiven? Bray said, Brother Katakuri, hurry up and send this photo to Mom for me. Marine Admiral's reinforcements may be coming soon. Okay. Katakuri said, you all go back first. Brother, don't you need help? Charlotte Owen said. It's inconvenient when there are too many people, Katakuri said, let's go. Okay. Everyone said. Brother, come on. Bray said again, you are a powerful man second only to your father. Hearing her words, Katakuri was slightly speechless. Then, with a dodging, he went ashore, observation hockey activated, and swiftly moved towards Charlotte Linlin's powerful aura. On the island of Balone, there was still lightning and thunder. Although the bombardment of thundercloud Zeus cannot always maintain a very high intensity, it is definitely a terrifying existence for countless people on the island. All around, there were people huddled in trembling to avoid lightning strikes everywhere, as well as the terrified cries of some children. Woo! Mom! Mom! Who will save Mom? A small child was crying near a collapsed rubble. In front of him, he saw a middle-aged woman being crushed under the collapsed house. It seemed that at the moment when the house collapsed, she didn't have time to leave. She pushed the child out first, and then was knocked unconscious and pinned down. Marine. Why hasn't Marine come yet? What the hell is going on? Is that the Big Mom? Who will help me? Everywhere, there are people shouting or murmuring. Katakuri moved forward quickly, and it didn't take long to reach a place not far from Charlotte Linlin. At this time, on the other side, a team of Marines also rushed over quickly. Quickly protect the world nobles and Alves Admiral, Marine, headed by him, shouted loudly. The Marines then rushed forward, where Sha Luo, Linlin had fought before. There, the dragon man Macaris lay under a big tree, his life and death unknown. Beside, Marine Admiral Alves was also seriously injured in a coma. The rampant Charlotte Linlin defeated and seriously injured him, but at this time, she did not have any intention to kill him, because there was only one thing in her mind. After discovering that the heavenly dragon Macaris was not the one she was looking for, Charlotte Linlin angrily taught the guy who dared to curse his husband, and then continued to search around the island. The few surviving Marine Vice Admirals who were still around her at this time were fighting like grasshoppers, trying to delay her action, but no one dared to confront her directly again. On the other side, Marine, who was headed just now, also noticed Katakuri who was rushing over quickly. Who? Marine yelled angrily. Amidst the thunder and lightning, the 14 or 15-year-old boy with a still expression made the Marine instinctively feel that this person was extraordinary, not to mention the speed at which he rushed over was far from ordinary. Hearing his angry shout, Katakuri was unmoved, turned around and wanted to leave, rushing to where Charlotte Linlin was. Answer me! Marine exclaimed. After saying that, he jumped and quickly flashed towards Katakuri. Then, stop a few meters in front of Katakuri. At the same time, I saw that the hair on his back had risen rapidly, 3 on the left and 3 on the right, turning into 3 pairs of black arms like spider legs. Boy, pick me up, Marine angrily said. Seeing this, Katakori's eyes moved. The next moment, it was activated in an instant, and suddenly, a number of arms wrapped around armament hockey were created, and they hit the opposite Marine in an instant like rain. No one will wait for you to pose slowly. Who? The arm that was shot like a spear, in an instant, accurately hit Marine's spider arm that had just been extended, as well as his real arms, plus his frontal face. 9 hits. Boom. Marine flew upside down and slammed into the trunk of a mangrove tree behind him. Colonel Ghost Spider. Seeing this, several Marine soldiers nearby exclaimed in shock. Thump. The 28-year-old Ghost Spider slid down the tree trunk. Then, spit blood from his mouth, and 2 knocked out teeth. Damn it. I underestimate him too much, Ghost Spider said angrily. Boy, who are you? Hearing his words, on the opposite side, Katakori still ignored him. Although he made a decisive attack just now, directly knocked the opponent into the air, and wounded slightly, but he had no time to make up for it, and the opponent was not so easy to kill. Huh. Katakori dodged and left, heading for where Charlotte Linlin was. Damn it. Behind, the Ghost Spider took a deep breath and got up. He beat himself like this with 1 blow, and the attack was so accurate and crisp. That kid, his physical skills, knowledge, and armament are already quite good. And also a devil fruit ability. The Ghost Spider then continued to chase. And Katakori soon came to the vicinity of Charlotte Linlin. Mom, found my father's whereabouts, Katakori exclaimed. Hearing his words, Sha Luo Linlin, who was chasing several vice admiral around in annoyance like swatting flies or catching grasshoppers, could not help but move his brows. Where is he? He's not on this island, Katakori said. What? Hearing this, Sha Luo and Linlin were furious. Bray, he dared to lie to me. Unforgivable. Where is my husband? Look at this to understand, Katakori said. Saying that, he took out the photo and turned it to face Charlotte Linlin. Ah. Seeing the photo, Charlotte Linlin's brows could not help but show. It's him. How can there be Bray's damn guy, and Amando? We'll talk about this later, Katakori said. Mom, we've been fighting here for a long time, and reinforcements from naval headquarters may have arrived in large numbers. It's no good. Retreat first. Well, this is. Seeing the person in the photo, Charlotte Linlin quickly recovered sanity from the previous runaway. Okay, then let's go back first, Charlotte Linlin said. Then he looked around again. However, it is really disappointing that my husband is not here on this island. Prometheus. Yes, Mom. Hearing his words, son Prometheus responded loudly knowingly. Then, the body floating in the air quickly became huge. In the blink of an eye, the oblate body had reached nearly 100 meters in diameter. Seeing the changes in Prometheus, the surrounding vice admiral, and the Ghost Spiders who came over, couldn't help but be shocked. Charlotte Linlin. What are you doing? A vice admiral exclaimed. Then, a dodging, in midair with a sword with armament hockey, slashed towards the huge Prometheus. Around, several other vice admiral and the Ghost Spiders that rushed over also acted at the same time, moving towards Prometheus, slashing quickly. Even a fool can see that this is like a huge flame with life and soul, and what to do next to this area and this island. Shish. A large number of long swords with armed colors quickly slashed from the huge flat body of Prometheus. However, when the sword swept across, I saw Prometheus, but it was not damaged. What? Armament hockey is also useless for it. Seeing this, everyone was shocked and at the same time at a loss. And at this time, Prometheus, who was incarnated by flames, had a smug smile on his face. Then, on the ground below, a butt sat down. Boom. The tidal wave of flames drowned everything in an instant. The strong thermal air, like a violent wave, spreads rapidly towards the surrounding large area. Woohoo! The leaves of the nearby mangrove tree were in flames. Also burning, there are many surrounding houses. The fiery air wave not only caused the nearby Marine Vice Admiral and the Ghost Spiders to fly outside involuntarily in midair, but even hundreds of meters away, countless people could feel the air suddenly heat up. Damn it! Marine Vice Admiral exclaimed. Seeing all this, Sha Luo and Linlin looked satisfied. Then, looking at Katakori who hid behind his legs early, let's go. Yes, Mom. Katakori replied. Charlotte Linlin then strode to the shore, Katakuri followed closely, and was on guard. Soon, it was approaching the coast. Woo! Mom! Mom! Who will save my mom? At this time, only the little child I had seen before was still crying in front of the ruins. In front of him was a middle-aged woman under the collapsed house. Seeing this, Sha Luo and Linlin walked over. Ah! You! Seeing her huge figure, the child couldn't help but look terrified. And Charlotte Linlin, at this time, Shen shot to open the ruins. Then the middle-aged woman was pulled out and placed on the ground in front of the child. Mom? Seeing this, Katakuri asked in a low voice. I see his mother is being pinned down, Sha Luo said. Linlin, then help him pull it out. Said with a happy smile. Seeing this, Katakuri couldn't help but be silent. Mom has always been a very simple-minded person, and is even willing to help others sometimes. Of course, the premise is that it doesn't get in the way of what she wants to get, and it doesn't get in the way of what she wants to do. As long as it is what you want to do, then, even if you kill everything, you must get it, you must achieve it. In addition, whoever offends himself will be unceremoniously given the harshest punishment. This is my mom. Both a woman, also a real big pirate. Let's go. The mother of the child was rescued from the rubble, Charlotte Linlin said happily. Katakuri responded. Then, the two continued to go to the coast. Soon, they reached the shore. On the sea, although there are still 2 warships, master, in Marine's hands, but there are no powerful people, so how dare they approach casually at this moment? Charlotte Linlin recalls Thundercloud Zeus and Sun Prometheus, and soon after, and Katakuri returned to the ship of the Big Mom pirates. Bray! How dare you lie to me? On the Big Mom pirate ship, Sha Luo and Linlin's angry voice came. Wait, Mom. I'm forced to. Bray shouted. Also, Father said that I'm his daughter, so no one will allow me to hurt me. No matter what. Whoever hurts me will never forgive my father. Hearing her words, Charlotte Linlin, who was about to take away her life, stopped temporarily. Mom. Behind this photo, there is a message from my father. Katakuri also said quickly. My father still needs to stay in the marine for a while due to his own reasons, or resign to be an idle person who is not wanted for the time being, so he didn't come back with us immediately, and first took that photo as a token. Beside, Amando he added, however, my father really likes Sister Bray very much. Charlotte Linlin said, bring it to me to see. Yes, Mom. Katakuri quickly handed the photo to Charlotte Linlin. Charlotte Linlin took the photo, turned it over, and looked back. In front of her, Bree was nervous, and at the same time, she quickly thought about how to convince Mom that this was indeed a handwritten letter from her father, and indeed a mortal talisman, given to her by her father. I was thinking eagerly. At this moment, I saw Charlotte Linlin smiling. There was even a star-like look in his pupils. So his words are so handsome. Charlotte Linlin said happily, it seems 9 times out of 10 he wrote it himself. What? Hearing her words, he was thinking about how to prove that the letter was written by his father himself, as well as Katakuri, Owen, Daifuku and others who were also thinking for his sister, and almost fell down together. Handsome words too? Then, believe it? In an instant, the expressions on everyone's faces seemed to be seeing a ferocious big black bear suddenly turn into a cute little panda. Okay, since it's your father who pleads for you, then I'll let you go this time, Bree, Charlotte Linlin said. After speaking, his face was happy again, and I also brought back my husband's token, which is not bad. Mom, you're just happy. Bray sighed and said loudly, my father is very handsome, very powerful, and very suitable for Mom. Really? It seems that you are also very discerning, Charlotte Linlin said happily. Mom, near Balone Island, there seems to be a marine warship chasing after it. At this time, Cracker looked at the opposite Balone Island and said. It seems to be the 2 Marine Admiral who came to reinforce as my father said, Amando said. Oh? Marine Admiral? What your father said, Charlotte Linlin said. Yeah. Bray exclaimed proudly, it was the information that my father asked us to bring back. My father is very worried about us. Really? Charlotte Linlin said happily. Mom, fighting against 2 Marine Admiral at the same time, no matter the outcome, it is of no benefit, Katakuri said, retreat early. Good. Charlotte Linlin said. She was in a good mood at this time, as if she could hear everything she said. Katakuri and the others immediately raised their sails. Then, the Big Mom pirate ship left quickly at sea. At the back, although Zephyr and Sengoku on the marine warship wanted to catch up, they came a step late, Not to mention that even if they caught up and reached the sea, they might not be able to take Charlotte what happened to Linlin. Thus, the war on the island of Balone near the Red Line was officially over. The entire battle lasted less than 20 minutes in total. However, its impact on this sea and the impact it brought to this era is like a boulder thrown into a calm lake. The war is over. The Marines soon began to count the battle damage, treat the wounded, and appease the island of Balone, which had become a battlefield. Alves Admiral, who was seriously injured, was quickly carried back. It was diagnosed that the bone of his left shoulder was almost comminuted, and his ribs and internal organs were also injured to some extent. The possibility of complete recovery is not high. Even if he recovers, it is basically unnecessary on the battlefield, because he has already reached the age to retire. If Garp refused to be promoted and was still chasing the pirate Roger, he should have retired. And this time he was seriously injured. Even if it took a few years to recover, it would have already been retired. Of course, in a sense, this was a relief for him. Because, although he tried his best, the celestial dragon Macaris, whom the Holy Land Marie Joyce asked him to protect, died before being carried back for rescue. If he hadn't been seriously injured and was lying in the hospital, then what he was about to face, he didn't know what the face of the Tianlong people and the unceremonious face-to-face anger. For a veteran who has fought for decades, this may even be more humiliating than dying in battle. What's more, because of the dragon people of the day, the battle that was originally only carried out near the coast was also pulled to the center of the island. As a result, a large number of civilians were affected. Then he had to order his subordinates, first protect the world nobles, and abandon the countless people waiting for rescue. All kinds of things, thinking about it, even made him lie on the sick Shuang and don't even think about it. Lie down until you retire. In addition to Alves, Marine's other vice admiral, rear admiral, and school-level officials were wounded. At least 30 people. Many of the college-level officers were defeated or even killed by several young people under the age of 15 while guarding the warship. Among those young people, the guy who almost killed Colonel Marine's ghost spider with one blow became the focus of attention. That night, the words "Big Mom" officially became a term that everyone on the island of Balone was afraid of. If it is said that in the past, people saw Charlotte Linlin's beautiful face on the wanted list, and they took this woman lightly, thinking that she was a female class after all. The words of the other pirates to save face, so I can be in the new world of the new world. So now, on the entire island of Balone, no one dares to have such a damned idea. The tragic scene of the battlefield was quickly announced by a group of reporters who ran faster than anyone else, like grabbing a hotspot from their respective newspaper offices. Of course, due to the timely intervention of relevant parties, the course and results of the war were still treated with a certain degree of artistic. So, the next day, the whole world boiled again like an explosion. Big Mom Charlotte Linlin actually launched an attack on the island of Balone, which is close to the Red Line. Then, with Marine's heroic interception and great fighting power, he caused extremely serious damage to the island of Balone, and then fled. No way? I thought she was just bluffing and making a name for herself. Really do it? And no foreign aid? So close to the Red Line and naval headquarters, Marine should have sent Admiral there, but still couldn't keep her? The battlefield has been destroyed like this. The whole island of Balone, half ruined. What kind of battle is going on there? Linlin's bounty was directly raised to 1.3 billion. His son Katakuri was also offered a bounty of 120 million Bailey. This Charlotte Katakuri still looks very young. I heard that he was under 15. What did he do? What about Marine's results? Didn't capture anyone from the Charlotte family. To actually start a war so close to the Red Line and the naval headquarters, this Charlotte Linlin is crazy. What's the reason for the war? Is it really as she said, looking for a husband? Impossible. But if that's not the case, Charlotte Linlin went to Marine's territory to start a war. What was he trying to do? Just to increase his prestige. That Sha Luo, was he only targeted because he won the Blue Enchantress some time ago, or did he do something unspeakable? But anyway, the 1.3 billion bounty, this Charlotte Linlin, is terrifying. The news that the Tianlong people were killed has been withheld this time and is not allowed to be reported. The reason is very simple. The descendant of the creator was killed, and the murderer still fled. Enron continued to dominate the new world. It is self-evident how this will affect the majesty of the world aristocracy and the world government. This is completely different from the situation of the original Straw Hat Luffy. In the eyes of the government at that time, the latter's strength was actually just a troublesome monkey. If he was caught and locked up, it could not reach the level of threatening the government's prestige. But even so, to some discerning eyes, the government's vague reports of the war are still quite entertaining. New World. Near Vegas. The main ship of the Whitebeard pirates, the Moby Dick. Goo la la la. Looking at the newspaper in his hand, Whitebeard let out a meaningful laugh. This Charlotte Linlin, although unreasonable, this time is really crazy. Is she really so reckless to chase after her second uncle? Said 13-year-old Marco next to her. Well, who knows? Whitebeard said, her strength is indeed the capital that is not afraid of Marine. Marine boasted to beat the opponent, but in his own territory, isn't it a defeat? Hearing his words, Marco and the others were slightly silent. New World. Another sea. Under Marine's heroic interception and strong combat power, it caused extremely serious damage to the island of Balone, and then fled in the desert. Rain? A man with blonde hair like a lion's mane laughed wantonly while looking at the newspaper in his hand. In my own territory, the battlefield was beaten like this, and the opponent didn't even leave a single person, which is really interesting. If the battle situation was in my favor, I am afraid it would have been widely reported, directly admitting Marine Admiral and a bunch of Marines. Didn't you beat that woman, wasn't it? Gia ha 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 ha. Sir Shaki? Marine's strength, but that's it. This sea will be the world of pirates in the future. Golden Lion Shaki laughed wantonly. Ah, speaking of it, we are short of ammunition recently. Otherwise we will go directly to the Marine base and supplement one. Just to announce our existence to the world? Gia ha 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 ha. Leaving the newspaper behind, Golden Lion Shaki walked to the cabin, and began to think about the next formal action with great ambition. The war in Bologna, just like that, was spread to the world in an artistic way. If Charlotte Linlin defeated the Dark Emperor, Rosses 7 or 8 years ago, and many people thought that Rosses might just be careless because he saw that the other party was a woman, then this time, no one dares to underestimate this crazy woman who blatantly rushed to the vicinity of Redline to grab her husband. Because, daring to do this is a symbol of strength in itself. Although people don't know, originally, Charlotte Linlin didn't want to go to war directly. She was just sick. Moreover, if it wasn't for someone who provided information, even if she could get out of her body, the Big Mom pirates might not be able to escape unscathed. But those are just ifs. The Big Mom pirates are on fire. Together with the 14-year-old second son Charlotte Katakori, he almost became famous in the first battle. In addition, Sha Luo, Owen, Daifuku, and Cracker have all started to offer bounties, but only between 5 million and 20 million. Regarding the affair between Big Mom and her husband, Sha Luo, there are countless rumors in the market, such as Sha Luo playing a joke, marine poaching, or Charlotte Linlin said that, and so on. But these Sha Luos have no time to pay attention. Charlotte Linlin beat the Tianlong people, which made him, who is regarded as her husband by the system, directly successfully open the Easter eggs of Tyrant's domain. And at the same time, he has not been wanted, so he doesn't need to be driven like flies every day in the future. Marine trying to capture him. However, due to Charlotte Linlin's sturdy strength, and also because of Sha Luo's tip, Charlotte Linlin retreated gracefully after defeating the Tianlong people. It's really irritating. Marie Joyce has nowhere to vent his anger, so some people are quite reluctant. After all, the reason why Sha Luo was dispatched this time was because of Sha Luo. In this regard, Sha Luo's side, like Alves, did not bother to face their anger. Are you upset? Then kick me out of Marine. Forget it, you don't have to rush, I'll go by myself. In the past, the only thing I worried about was that Guion and Hina would be chased around since they were young, but now, no matter what, Sha Luo did not fight the Tianlong people himself, and there was no real relationship between him and Charlotte Linlin married. Therefore, even if the Tianlong people are very annoyed, there is no reason to forcibly issue a warrant for Sha Luo, who is, honestly staying at naval headquarters. Although Sha Luo is not honest, Sha Luo submitted her resignation directly, saying that she was too attractive and decided to go into seclusion. The resignation was submitted, and within half an hour, Zephyr rushed over. Sha Luo, are you leaving? Yes. Sha Luo said, anyway, there are a lot of people on the upper, so they must have a lot of opinions on me. Their opinion is their opinion, you don't need to pay too much attention to it, Zephyr said. Also, in this incident, you did not take action. Hearing Zephyr's words, Sha Luo couldn't help but feel a pain in her conscience. Brother, I'm sorry, I really did it this time. However, as long as the Tianlong people's anger is not vented, my side will be a thorn in their eyes, right? Sha Luo said. Then I will greatly demote you, how about that? Zephyr said, in this way, you can also explain to the superiors. However, if you resign, I can't allow it. Why? Sha Luo said. A guy like you, no matter where you go, will definitely be different from others. Sooner or later something will happen. Zephyr said, besides, you have a relationship with Whitebeard and Charlotte Linlin. Marine chased you away. But if you can't ask for it, I will do everything possible to pull you right away. I can't just sit back and ignore it. Hearing this, Sha Luo was a little speechless. I really didn't want to join them. I just wanted to live in seclusion. By the way, wait for the Easter egg system to release Easter eggs. You think so, but above doesn't necessarily think so, said Zephyr. You leave Marine on your front foot, and maybe if something happens behind you, they'll see you as a threat and issue a warrant for you. You are young and strong, and no ordinary person can beat you. Even if Marine Admiral comes, he will not be able to keep you. But what about your wife, especially your 2 daughters? Do you want them to live in hiding? Or take them to join the pirates? Hearing Zephyr's words, Sha Luo was slightly silent. If you want to add a crime, there is nothing to worry about. Charlotte Linlin ran away after fighting the Tianlong people, and the Tianlong people's anger was transferred to himself. Although there was no reason to issue a warrant for himself this time, it was really not difficult to impose a crime. And he really didn't want to be a thief, and he didn't want Guion and Hina to follow him as a thief. As for Lisa and Tia, although they will definitely support themselves, but in their hearts, they still don't have a good impression of pirates, right? After all, no one can deny that most of the pirates are people who burn, kill and loot. What's more, Lisa and Tia were orphaned by pirates since childhood. All in all, calm down first. I will make suggestions to the top and demote your position. Zephyr said, as long as you don't join the pirates, I will fully guarantee as Marine Admiral, your 2 daughters, and their mother, don't get involved. Anything is up to you. Is that so? Hearing Zephyr's words, Sha Luo was silent again. Okay, it's up to you. After a long while, Sha Luo said slowly, any remote corner will do. If we can leave our family far away from the headquarters, that's the best. Zephyr, this guy is really irresistible, but speaking of making sure my wife and daughter are not implicated. Zephyr, although your intentions are good, I can still remember them in my heart, but your intentions do not mean that you must have the strength to do things. Not only my wife and daughter, but you may not be able to protect them. Sooner or later, you will find them. Do you need more attention to the safety of your own wife and son? That's right, as a traveler, Sha Luo remembers very clearly that after Zephyr had a child, a few years later, his wife was attacked by what is said to be a pirate, his family was killed by a pirate, and then he began to hate pirates and proposed resign, but was retained by his boss, retained the rank of admiral, and became an instructor, and taught the group of yellow monkeys. So, before ensuring that my wife and daughter are not implicated, Zephyr, doesn't the safety of your own wife and son need the same attention? But now, talking to Zephyr, he obviously doesn't care too much. A lot of things are useless to say before they happen. Sha Luo can at most remind Zephyr to pay more attention, but it is hard to say whether Zephyr will completely take it to heart. In that case, should I do some preparations? Zephyr's intentions were obviously reliable, but sometimes reality may not be exactly as a person wishes. Whether it is Zephyr's wife and son, or his own wife and daughter, there is not enough guarantee. You have to think of some plan. Zephyr had already left to dismiss Sha Luo's resignation letter. Sha Luo sat there, thinking to himself. Lord Hu Kun. What's the matter? Lisa asked softly next to him, seeing him brooding in thought. Well, it's nothing. It was impossible for Sha Luo to tell Lisa that she was a transmigrator, so she was worried about something, so she simply responded. I'll go out for a little walk. Sha Luo said again. When you stay in the room, your mind seems to be limited by space. When you go out to get some air, you may have an epiphany and suddenly become enlightened. Okay. Hearing him say that, Lisa softly nodded, and didn't ask anything forcibly. Sha Luo then walked out the door. Inside the house, Lisa and Tia looked at each other. Tia. Let's act too. Lisa said. Well, okay. Tia replied, I'll go get a pen and paper. Then he went to his house. Outside, Sha Luo was walking around. Soon, we arrived at Marineford Harbor. At this time, the Balone War was over, and Marineford returned to its normal state. In the harbor, there were not only warships, but also many merchant ships, supply ships, and excursion boats for marine officers and their families to travel occasionally, etc. Sha Luo thought for a while, then got on a cruise ship and headed for the nearby Sabodi archipelago. Soap Bubble Island is famous in the original book and is known as the Island of Failure and Resurrection. After all, if you stay on a small island in Marineford every day, It is estimated that you will suffer from internal injuries. At least there are bubble landscapes and amusement parks on Saboti Archipelago, which is the first choice for family members of military officers to accompany their children on vacation. The archipelago was not far from Marineford, and it didn't take long to arrive. Sha Luo got off the boat and walked forward. So, what's the next step? Sha Luo thought to himself. Not only his wife and daughter had to make arrangements, but Zephyr's wife and son also needed to be considered. But how can we protect so many people? Let Lysadia take Guion and Hina to stay in Marineford and stop going out. Not to mention that Lisa and Tia are still Marine officers, and even their 3-year-old daughters Guion and Hina cannot stay on Marineford Island all the time. At least, it's a must to go out for a walk, see the world, or visit the amusement park at Saboti Archipelago every now and then, right? What's more, the Tianlong people have opinions on themselves. Despite the Zephyr's presence, it's not entirely safe in Marineford. And Zephyr himself was not too vigilant about the impending crisis. At this time, he still has the name of Do Not Kill, and is quite kind to the pirates. But, when pirates want to take revenge, they will not be so benevolent. What's more, no one knows about the killing of Zephyr's family, whether there is anything tricky, such as who offended, what someone did with the hands of pirates, and so on. Although this is a bit too conspiracy theory, after all, Marine has nothing to do with her loyal admiral, but nothing in the world is absolute. Who can guarantee that sometimes conflicts will not be triggered inadvertently? There is no possibility that it is the inner ghost of the middle and low levels? All kinds of things are really confusing. If you and Zephyr encounter an enemy, there is absolutely nothing to worry about. Although Zephyr later broke his arm in the original book, it was also when he was old, and now in the young age, there are not many people in the world who can win against 2 people. For Flowers, however, if it is the wife and children who meet the enemy, it will be too difficult. At that time, if the 2 sides were not together and wanted to save people, it was impossible to fly. Even if I have the attributes of a caring father, I can sense the crisis of my daughter, but if they are not together, it will be too late to sense. In this case, ding. While thinking hard, at this time, the sound of the system prompt suddenly rang in my mind. Sha Luo was taken aback. What system prompts come out at this time? Immediately, turn on the system. System prompt. The associated special Easter egg, husband and wife concentric, is automatically triggered. Husband and wife concentricity. In the absence of mutually agreed upon, husbands and wives making the same decision on an event of great interest, triggers a relevance Easter egg and acquires the relevance attribute, couples concentricity. Currently successfully triggered and obtained, couples concentricity, a total of 3 eggs of the same type. Husband and wife are of one heart. The husband and wife are of the same mind. When the husband needs his wife to accompany him, he can forcibly summon his wife to his side. Both parties must be in a state of non-combat or war readiness, and if the wife who is called is in combat during the call, any attack in the battle will directly release the summon. When the wife encounters a crisis, the husband will automatically sense the same and be there. He can directly see the current situation of the wife, and even force himself to the wife's side. The wife needs to be in the crisis state or direct combat state. After the couple falls asleep at the same time in different places, there will be a certain probability that they will automatically connect to each other's dreams and have the same dream in different places. All the above operations require a certain amount of physical strength from the husband. Hey. Seeing the system prompt, Sha Luo couldn't help being stunned. Could it be that, Lisa, Tia, what did you do? In other words, what did the wife, Charlotte Linlin, who was identified by the system, do? Looking at the system prompt, Sha Luo was speechless for a moment. This is the first time I have encountered an associative Easter egg that is automatically triggered. Now I am in the Saboti Archipelago, and I don't know what my 2 wives, are Charlotte Linlin, who was forcibly identified as wife by the system, did something to suddenly open such an Easter egg to me. But, this Easter egg seems like it's coming at just the right time? Sha Luo looked at the relevant words in the description of the Easter egg again. When a husband needs his wife to accompany him, he can forcibly summon his wife to his side. Neither both parties are in a state of non-combat or combat readiness, and if the summoned wife encounters a battle or is attacked by any attack during the battle, hit will directly cancel the summon. This seems to be called to have a sex when you want a woman. Oh no, summoning to cultivate the relationship between husband and wife is a everyday function. When a wife encounters a crisis, the husband will automatically feel the same way and be there, and can directly see the current situation of his wife, and even force himself to be teleported to his wife. This one is very useful. Recall, As long as there is a crisis, he will flash over immediately. With his own strength, unless Marine openly dispatches Admiral class, and 2 or more Admiral class are dispatched together, it is possible to force a strike in front of him. But the possibility of that is slim. Before the later 3 Admiral in the original book grew up, in this era, Marine can play against his own Admiral level characters, that is, Garp, Sengoku, Zephyr, plus a Marine Marshal Kong. Among them, Garp is not that kind of despicable person, Zephyr is a good friend with himself, and the rest are Sengoku and Kong, the 2 Marine Marshals before and after in the original book. The basic face still needs a little bit of face, join forces to play dirty with a few women. Even if there is more the high-sounding excuse, it is estimated that they themselves can't stand it. What's more, who knew that his wife would summon her husband when she first started? Just dispatch a bunch of Admiral-level characters. Therefore, if the world government dares to attack, it will be almost 100% able to be defended by itself for the first time. And after the first time, would he give them a second chance? As long as you dare to do it, when the time comes, there is just a reason to take your wife and daughter directly to flash people. In this way, Zephyr can't blame himself for being unkind, pulling him for so long, and then he slaps his ass and leaves, and his wife and daughters who have a sense of justice, since childhood will also be completely firmly support their husbands or fathers. This is simply wonderful. You know, Sha Luo has always been a person who values human relationships. Zephyr's repeated efforts to win over him can almost be said to be similar to 3 visits to the cottage, and he can't really ignore his feelings at all. But now, even Zephyr couldn't blame himself. This is just perfect. For a moment, Sha Luo even had the thought of, this day will come soon. It seems that someone is waiting for someone to have bad thoughts and make a bad move. As long as you make a bad move, you will be caught immediately. I even wanted to seduce the other party to take the initiative. The legendary fishing law enforcement. In an instant, Sha Luo thought of the proper noun for the 3-dimensional world. That's right, this is it. But wait. Speaking of fishing law enforcement, speaking of the mastermind behind the scenes. Sha Luo remembered the conspiracy theory just now. That is, if the Zephyr family was killed in the original book, it was not so simple. After all, how could a Marine Admiral's family possibly protect so little and be killed so easily? In this case, if it is really tricky, then otherwise. Catch the fish on Zephyr's side. At that time, if we can find out the truth of everything and catch the black hand behind the scenes, not only can Zephyr's tragedy be avoided, but also the guy who has been winning over him. Maybe he can be reversely wooed by himself as one of the forces that will fight against the world government in the future. Shit. I'm so witty. In an instant, Sha Luo even wanted to give herself 100 likes in a row. Ho ho ho, Zephyr, you've dug me for so long, maybe one day I'll dig you back. Although all this is only a hypothetical ideal situation, after all, it is difficult to say whether the killing of the Zephyr family is tricky or not. But at least, this idea can still be tried. After all, even if there is nothing wrong with Zephyr, Zephyr has always had a good relationship with him. He even used himself as a guarantee to ensure that his wife and daughter would not be implicated in any way. With this intention, he should help him protect his family. The rest is how to protect. After all, this husband and wife concentricity of my own is only valid for myself and my wife. Although Zephyr and himself are almost like brothers, the brother's wife is the brother's wife. Friend's wife, don't play. The basic principle of this as Sha Luo is quite clear. Husband and wife concentric is not valid for Zephyr's family. In this case, everything needs to be considered carefully. So, what should we do? Sha Luo murmured to herself in her heart. At the same time, Yo-Yo walked forward. At this time, I saw 2 women in slightly exposed clothes, walking not far from the side. Sha Luo frowned slightly. Of course, it's not that the exposed figures of the 2 women are so attractive. Rather, these 2. Where did he seem to have met?